Good evening, everyone. The school committee business session of June 11, 2026 will now come to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing on the Methuen Public Schools website. Secretary, please take roll.
Vice Chair DiZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Present.
Member Keegan.
Present.
Member McCarthy Sorois, present. Member Willett.
Present.
And Mayor Beauregard.
We have quorum.
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Baez, second to Madam Keegan. Any questions about the agenda?
Yes, I do. I'd like to move on the agenda 6A and move it up to right after number 3.
Yep.
So 6A to number 3, below number 3.
Yep.
And then I'd like to also move 8A after 6A.
I'll second that motion.
Because we have a member on Zoom, we will have to take roll call
Sure.
tonight. We have the second from Mr. Baez. Roll call, please, on the amendment.
Vice Chair DiZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
McCarthy Sorois, yes. Member Willett.
Yes.
Mayor Beauregard. Passes.
Passes. Now, on the original motion as amended, let's approve.
Vice Chair DiZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Member McCarthy Sorois, yes. Member Willett.
Yes.
Mayor Beauregard.
Great. Let's stand, oh, we have someone here for the flag salute, correct?
Yes, I'd like to invite our CGS students up this evening, and Miss Mary Ellen Lucas, our lower school associate principal, Miss Katie Prietti, our CGS supervising principal. And because Miss Lucas is retiring at the end of this school year, we allowed her to break the rules tonight. And so she has invited 6 students to give the flag salute. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. So we did decide to make this a little different this time. Ms. Peretti had this great idea, and I was like, yes, let's do it. And now I'm surrounded by the best, right? So I am pleased to introduce some of the fabulous CGS 4th graders. Ryder Bertho from Mrs. Costello's class. Aaron Jimenez from Mrs. Lim's class. Emily Ortiz Aguila from Mrs. Barbosa's class. Rihanna Nicosia from Mrs. Dunn's class, who is here. Maria Contreras from Mrs. Costa's couldn't make it, and Eric Tayapanda Lima from Mrs. Doobie's class. All of these students have been CGS Bulldogs since kindergarten, with the exception of Eric, who joined the CGS in grade 2, but fits in perfectly with our school community. Ryder, I'm just going to say a little bit about each one. I promise it's shorter than normal. Ryder is hardworking, diligent student who consistently puts forth his best effort in the classroom. He aspires to become an engineer when he grows up and has shared that CKLA and literacy are his favorite subjects. We are so happy Ryder could join us tonight because he had an important playoff baseball game on Monday, which was the original night, which he won the playoffs, and he won the championship game. Aaron is over here. He's very respectful, hardworking 4th grader. He also loves playing baseball and hopes to become a professional baseball player someday. Aaron enjoys spending time with his younger brother, riding his bike, and collecting insects to observe in their habitats. In class, he is always engaged, participates actively, asks thoughtful questions, and enjoys collaborating with his classmates. Next up is Emily. Emily is a compassionate and conscientious learner who consistently brings a positive attitude to the classroom. She treats her peers with kindness and approaches every academic challenge with an unwavering work ethic. Emily loves writing short stories and reading a wide variety of genres. When she grows up, she hopes to become a teacher or an author, or perhaps both. Brianna. Brianna's enthusiasm for learning is truly contagious. When presented with a challenge such as mastering math skills well above her grade level, her face lights up with excitement. She loves spending her free time reading and is both a history enthusiast and devoted Harry Potter fan. Brianna is one of the kindest people you could meet, often being the first to offer a helping hand or words of encouragement. She is a true role model for her peers. When she grows up, she hopes to become a baker. And we have Eric. Eric has worked diligently over the past several years to become proficient in English at the CGS. He is a hardworking student and a wonderfully kind friend. Eric loves science and history and enjoys contributing interesting facts to classroom discussions. He enjoys spending time with his friends and family, especially when traveling together. One day, he hopes to visit Disney World in Florida. Eric also loves cooking and preparing meals for his family and dreams of becoming a chef at a restaurant with Brianna. When he grows up, he's truly an amazing young person. These students consistently hold themselves to high standards, and we are incredibly proud to have them represent the CGS. No matter the task, they always give their very best effort and strive for personal excellence. The sky is the limit for each and every one of them. Please join me in welcoming some of CGS best, Ryder, Aaron, Emily, Brianna, and Eric as they lead our flag salute. You guys step up to the microphone. Step up to the microphone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to give it a minute. Is there anyone signed up for public participation? All right, we'll move on to public participation. Is anyone here signed up, or someone would like to come up and speak for participation? And just state your name and your address.
I can just go. I can just go.
Yeah,
Yes.
just tell us your name and address, and then
What do you mean address?
your name and address.
Like house address? Like
Are you-
house address?
Yeah, you just say you're a Methuen High student.
Hello, I am Lucas, and I'm attending Methuen High School, and this is my first time attending or speaking at one of these events. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Methuen High School band, and recently, about a week ago, our assistant band director, Mr. Poster, had told us news about the job positions being cut due to the city's budget issues. He had the unfortunate news of telling us he was on that list, and I started to think, as an outsider looking in at the band, it could easily seem that having two band directors means that we can spare losing one of them. That is definitely not the case. Our assistant band director is an integral part of our group's ability to function and do the things we do. During both our marching and concert seasons, there is so much work that both band directors have to do to make each show and concert happen. So much work that cannot possibly be completed by just one person. He puts hours into working on the drill for marching season, while the other band director carries out other duties such as writing music. And each one of them contributes so much to our group's success that cutting just one of these positions could easily cause our thriving band program to crumble. There are after-school jazz rehearsals to prepare for concerts that Mr. Poster also runs himself, which thrives. And those rehearsals can be a reason many look forward to school each day. Also, due to the wide selection of instruments students at MHS have the opportunity to play, both band directors specialize in different instruments, and they are effective working together because of this. I myself have noticed the amount of separate tasks that each of them carry throughout the entirety of rehearsals, and I mean it when I say Mr. Poster is an asset to our band, and we would not succeed if it were not for him. I hope you can take my words into consideration, and I hope I am able to protect the assistant band director position from being cut. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? And just make sure you say your name and that you're a student.
Good evening, members of the school committee and residents of Methuen. I stood before you last year regarding the same issue, and I stand before you again this year to fight for what I believe in. My name is Raphael Mhenna, and I'm a current junior at Methuen High School, and I also attended the Timony Grammar School, where I first became involved in band. I'm here tonight to ask you to protect the position of assistant band director at Methuen High School and protect the future of our music program. I understand that Methuen is facing a serious budget crisis. According to public reports and school committee discussions, the school has faced a multi-million-dollar budget gap caused by inflation and a rising cost for just about anything. The school and department have both acknowledged that these financial pressures are real and difficult. At the same time, city officials have also stated publicly that education funding has increased in recent years. Public discussions have also focused on trying to preserve student-facing positions whenever possible. That is why I am asking you tonight to recognize that the assistant band director position currently filled by Eric Poster is also a student-facing position that directly impacts many students every single day. Band is not an extracurricular for many students. It's a class, commitment, community, and many reasons for students to stay connected to school. The Methuen Band program represents this city at football games, parades, competitions, concerts, community events, and graduation. It is one of the most visible student organizations in Methuen Public Schools. The assistant band director is not just help. In a large and active program like Methuen's, Mr. Poster runs jazz band, helps manage rehearsals, writes our marching drill, and is a huge part of the reason we're able to even march on the field, supports multiple sections of students by assisting with performances, providing individual instruction, and helps maintain the entire program and quality and organization of it all. Removing this position would place a major burden on one director and would weaken the experience for the students throughout the program. As someone who came from the Timony Band program and continued into Methuen High School, I know firsthand how important consistency and support are for student musicians. Music programs are built over the years, and it is shown that band builds commitment, skills, discipline, resilience, and lifelong friendships, and much more. Once programs start to lose staff and momentum, it is extremely difficult to rebuild them. I also asked the City Council and the school committee to consider the long-term value of preserving a strong arts program. Families look at academics, athletics, and the arts when deciding where to live and where to send their children to school. Strong music programs contribute to school pride, student engagement, attendance, leadership opportunities, and community involvement. During difficult budget times, I believe every position matters, but when decisions are made, I hope the city prioritizes positions that have had a direct impact on me and so many other students every day. The positions that greatly contribute to our overall culture and what makes us who we are. I am proud to be a student at Methuen Public Schools, and I am proud of our band program, and I conclude by respectfully asking you to protect the assistant band director position and continue to invest in the students who depend on this program every day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? At this time, we'll close the public participation portion of this meeting. If you cannot attend the public participation meeting in person, you can email Susan Cianti at snscionti@methuen.k12.mass.us before 3 p.m. on the day of the school committee meeting. All right, on to the minutes. Just for the note of the team, April 9th meeting minutes is for the Finance Committee. So just in the approval of those minutes, just be mindful of that. And then Member Keegan, being the only one from that meeting, if you have any comment about it. All right. I'll take a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Finance Committee, April 9th, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Member Keegan motion, second from Member Baez. Any comments, questions? With that said, we will have Member Sorois take roll.
Vice Chair DiZoglio,
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi, Member Baez,
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask a question, Vice Chair?
Sure.
If I wasn't attending that meeting, do I vote present?
No, you
Or I
can-
can vote yes?
You could vote yes
Okay.
because they're subcommittee minutes that were just posted.
I did
And
read them,
that's-
so-
Yeah, and that's
okay,
why I
thank you.
asked Member Keegan.
All right, thank you. Member McCarthy Sorois, yes. Member Willett
Yes.
and Mayor Beauregard. Unanimous passes 5.
5-0. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of May 7th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Member Keegan, seconded by Member Baez. Any questions, comments, concerns? Member Sorois, do you mind take roll, please?
Vice Chair DiZoglio,
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi, Member Baez,
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
McCarthy Sorois, yes. Member Willett,
Yes.
Mayor Beauregard, not present. Passes.
All right. We did move some things in the agenda to make it easier for some of our guests tonight. So we'll move to new business. Madam Superintendent, the vision of the graduate. I will leave it to you and Principal Corrett.
Thank
Begin the
you.
presentation.
If I may, I'd like to invite up our MHS Vision of a Graduate Development Committee, of which we have several members here tonight. And it's chaired by Ms. Meredith Moore, our math department head, and Ms. Christine Dumont, who is our English department head. And if you'd like to share a little bit about this work, I know we've been keeping you up to date on progress through quarterlies, talking about our stakeholder engagement and ultimately why we are working toward a vision of the graduate. And here at this point in the year, they're seeking your approval on the language that's been developed. And so they'll explain to you the process, again, of how it was developed and go through the language. And before I say too much, I'll leave it to you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Golofsky.
In the fall of 2024, so why do we need a vision of the graduate? So in the fall of 2024 in October, the NEAS visiting team came for our collaborative conference. And during that time, they assessed us in the 5 standards for accreditation. And one of the standards focuses on having a vision of the graduate. And so this foundational element, we knew going into our visit that we did not have one. And this was something that we needed to improve upon. So that's became one of our focus areas after our conference. So that's one of the reasons why we're moving forward with pursuing a vision of the graduate for the district. The second reason, the vision of the graduate, is also in the Methuen Public Schools District Improvement Plan. It's the third part. And then the last reason is, without those two things, NEASC or a District Improvement Plan, we all believe that it's important for us to educate the whole student, not just the academic piece, but the social, emotional, and the growth of the whole student, and make sure that they're prepared to be members of our society and beyond. So that's why we're focusing and presenting that vision of the graduate to you today. So we're just gonna go through a timeline of where this all started and the steps that we took to get here. So the first step, in the spring of 2025, myself, Ms. Dumont, Principal Corrett, and Dr. Golubsky-Toomey met to kind of discuss what our timeline's gonna be. So we really sat down and thought about the process and how we're gonna get to this point. So the rest of our committee is gonna take some time and go through that timeline with you.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to start by showing a deep appreciation for Meredith Moore and Christine Dumont, our co-chairs for our NEAS team, and then our development committee. They've been instrumental in the work that we've done to present what we're going to present tonight. So to kick it off, like our timeline here, it really started in beyond the conversation last spring in August of this school year. We came together as an administrative team, and we started to bounce ideas on what the buzzwords that ultimately may be our core competencies might be. From there, we developed a survey that went out to students, families, staff, and the community to get their feedback on what they felt were those high leverage words that may ultimately be our core competencies. From there, as we were collecting that information, Massachusetts actually released their version of the vision of the graduate, which kind of led us to our October timeline, where we led focus groups. We brought a collective group of staff, students, community members, parents together to analyze the results of our survey that we had sent out. And based on the results of our focus group and the release of the Massachusetts vision of a graduate, we noticed many similarities between what we were finding were those high leverage competencies and what Mass released. So I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself here. We ultimately agreed on adapting the Mass vision of the graduate, which brings us to November, where we came together to identify a specific team that we were going to have work on defining what those competencies really mean for us here in Methuen. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Winlara. She's going to talk about what we did in December.
I'm Kim Winlara. I teach science here, and I was going to tell you a little bit about the work that we did in December. So in December, we, as a committee, developed a workshop to bring together multiple departments, and at that time, we took a look at the competency definitions, and we worked with the rest of the staff to kind of establish what we thought that should look like here at Methuen High School and beyond. And we worked collaboratively across disciplines to see where everybody was with defining these categories. At that time, we worked on a round robin and were able to begin getting some of the language that the staff found important to developing this plan. So I think that about sums it. Right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Hello. So in January, we presented the trends from the December meeting to the faculty as a whole, just so we were always keeping everybody up to date with the work. And then in February,
Hi, I'm Andrew LaRock, one of the math teachers here, and one of the co-advisor with Stephanie as the YPAR, which is the Youth Participation Action Research Team. And on February 5th, we met at the Nevins Library, and it was a two-part thing. We had the students show off what they're doing around the district to show their student voice, as well as the ability to have the students actually run the meetings and talk about the 6 competencies. So it was a great time where the school committee was invited. We had parents, we had guardians, we had all teachers there working together to actually define this 6 competencies as a group. That's what we did on February 5th.
Good evening, I'm Jess Lowe, one of the school counselors here at the high school. So moving into March, we had another whole school workshop where we divided our staff using a department meeting into mixed groups, and we looked at the Massachusetts core competencies, but then really tried to pick apart what a ranger would be or could do, and what it would look like within each domain. So we then worked to draft a shared definition of what it means to be a MHS ranger and a graduate aligned to those competencies that you'll see soon.
and then we wanted students to have a very similar opportunity that the faculty had at that department meeting, during that department meeting time. So in April, we modified that lesson to be a connections lesson, which is a half-hour sort of time slot. So we did have to modify it a bit, but students were given the opportunity to provide feedback on different competencies and again, begin to define them, which kind of brings us to May / June, where we are today. So we launched a design contest in May, a student design contest. We did have one student that we really liked the design. It still definitely needs to be refined, and we're utilizing Mr. Varana, who is our graphic design teacher, to continue refining that design. And then Meredith and I began to synthesize all of this different feedback, and we did use the use of AI to help us from the YPAR event and from the faculty events and from the students, and then we took all of our human eyes on it as well to make sure it was truly capturing like the essence of the definitions that everybody contributed to. And then we also planned to share with you all today in hopes of getting our vision approved.
Okay, so this slide really highlights that the work was both whole school and community-driven process rather than a top-down administrative initiative. So the development of this work was intentionally grounded in stakeholders' voices with input collected from students, staffs, parents, guardians, alumni, and other community members, focusing solely with students being the represented group with the most respondents. And so we really hope to ensure that our priorities and competencies really reflect the lived experiences, our expectations and aspirations of our whole school community. And by centering the student voice in tandem with input from adults and alumni, the process was really strengthened and really helped bring together the relevance and shared ownership of the outcomes. And so we feel that the vision of the graduate work really is a collective effort to define what success looks like for students shaped by the community rather than just being determined by a single group or office.
Good evening, I'm Sarah Grant. I'm an English teacher at the high school. And so I'm just gonna share a little bit about the Mass vision of the graduate and how we moved from that to making it Methuen's vision as well. So as Mr. Corrett noted, in September of 2025, Massachusetts released their vision of a graduate. And kind of the foundation of that is that the state looked at 3 ways that students will be able to participate when they graduate from a Massachusetts school, whether that's college, work, the armed forces, what they'll be able to do as a graduate. And that was being a collaborator, a thinker, and a leader. And then under each of those, there are 2 individual competencies of how students will demonstrate that, how they will need that as they move forward in their lives. Our focus groups met shortly after that, and as we looked over all the survey results, the trends we found were really similar to the ideas that we saw in the mass vision of a graduate. Be it in the same language or slightly different language, we felt that the ideas were very much the same. The only big difference was that in our survey results, respect came up a lot. In all surveys, it was one of the top responses, and particularly for students, it was the #1 response. So we wanted to make sure that our vision also included the idea of respect in a really prominent way. So from there, the vision of the graduate committee, we decided to adopt the Massachusetts vision of a graduate, but make sure that we also put that emphasis on respect in there. And so as the committee has shared the different activities we've done, we solicited responses from staff, from community members, from students, from family, from all stakeholders, and that was a lot of responses to look at of what these competencies are going to be. And so we synthesized those down to some can-do statements. We as a committee looked at them. We did use Gemini to kind of track some trends in them and then refined those definitions to make sure they accurately portrayed what we wanted to show you. And so Ms. LaRock is going to share a little bit more about what those are.
Can you just scroll down to a bit? So keep going, please. So again, we just said that we synthesize it through the use of human and AI. So we just want to mention that we are using the technology just as we ask the students to use it, we're using it too. So can you go, the next slide. So when we go into cast a vision, you can make the world a better place. So we started off with academically prepared. We want to equip the students. So as you can see, on the left side, we have the Ranger Can statements. On the right side, how you actually will see it developed in school. And some of the highlighted ones that I wanted to do is that a Methuen graduate is a lifelong learner who possesses the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate post-secondary paths and contribute to their community. And the Ranger Can statements are apply knowledge to real-world context, set and pursue growth goals, which takes, can you go to the next slide, a creative problem solver. And then again, this is where we want our students to think outside the box. A Methuen graduate uses critical inquiry and innovation to navigate complex challenges and contribute to a changing world. Again, on the left side, you see the Ranger Can statements. On the right side, you know how this is going to apply. In the highlight, we want the students to evaluate the credibility of information. They're getting tons of information coming at them. We want them to be able to distinguish what is real and what is not, and especially in today's. And then we want them to develop strategic solutions, and not only just develop them, we want to apply them and implement them with intent. And in order to do that, we need to go next slide. Self-aware navigators, which is really asking the question, where am I? A Methuen graduate understands their unique identity, manages their personal growth, and advocates for the future with confidence and resilience. Our Ranger Can statements, again, are on the left. The how you're going to see it, again, on the right. The Ranger Can statement is we want them to conduct continuous self-assessment, pursue purposeful goals, cultivate a growth mindset. We want them to learn from their mistakes. We want them to continue growing. And in order to do that, you know we need a community. Just like you're a committee, we need to have intentional collaboration. Please, next slide. Because guess what? We're better together. A Methuen graduate works effectively and empathetically with diverse teams, valuing and respecting collective strength that comes from multiple perspectives. That's right, the Rangers, again, statements on the left and the how they're going to see it on the right. Again, the highlights are contribute to collective goals, practicing empathetic communication, and engaging in community and advocacy, which would only take, the next slide, the responsible decision maker. That's right, we want our students to be accountable and learn from their mistakes. A Methuen graduate evaluates social and personal impacts of their choices to foster individual well-being and contribute to a just community. Again, the can-do statements are on the left. How are you going to do it? And the highlight is, again, we want our students to reflect and adjust. As we know, life is going to come at them. Can they reflect where they're at and adjust appropriately? That's what we want from it. And you know what? To do that, we need, the next slide, effective communicators. Language matters. A Methuen graduate expresses ideas clearly and purposely, listens with an open mind, and adapts their communication to the bridge understanding. Again, the can-do statements are on the left. How are we going to apply that on the right? And the Rangers can statements are practice active and reflective listening. Navigate conflict through dialogue. Because guess what? People really just want to be heard. And if they are heard, then we can grow and go together and go from better to better, because our focus determines our future. Do you have any questions, concerns about our 6 competencies?
No, but that was great, the presentation.
Okay.
It's a tough act to follow. Give me a moment. That was wonderful. I'm not going to be as dynamic, though. I will try. So what next? Visions are wonderful. Visions guide us, but visions are nothing without work. And that's why we really are asking for your approval of this vision, so our real work of embedding this into our everyday lives as a school community can actually begin. And we have outlined just 4 next steps. These are certainly not, this is not an exhaustive list of next steps, but it kind of, it shows the highlights of where we want to be in the fall. We want to start to really market this vision. We want to continue our collaboration with various departments and utilize the resources that we have at the high school, like our CTE and Fine Arts department, to really complete the graphic, to have it on the screens, to make sure all of our students know and are aware of what this vision is. We want to create also like necessary teacher, student, and family facing documents that make this vision digestible and clear so everyone can understand this vision. But then we need to really work on how are we going to embed this into our curriculum? What is this going to look like in classes and assessments every single day? We want to identify the different assessments, the curriculum materials that speak to the competencies that we already have, and explicitly link them to the vision. And also we'll be able to see where there are gaps and where we need to fill the curriculum and make sure that we are addressing all of these competencies every single day. We also need to track our progress. We want to develop systems for students and to track their own progress, and also for the district to track progress towards the vision and make sure that we are saying what we say, or we're doing what we say we are going to do. And we really want to start to partner with the grammar schools. This is in our strategic plan under objective number 3. It is a whole district vision. It's going to start at the high school, right? We are graduating our seniors, but we want this to really trickle down. We want all of our students to feel like they are Rangers, and a Rangers can statement and the how, right? The Rangers can statements are one thing. The how is going to look different, right? How a kindergartner is going to intentionally collaborate with their peers is going to look different than a 16-year-old student. So we really want to be intentional about our work with the grammar schools moving forward. And finally, like I said, this work is only the beginning. With your approval, we will be able to ensure that our competency definitions and Rangers can statements are reflected in our students, embedded in our curriculum, and evident in the work we do every single day. This vision would be nothing without the committee standing here. We have 2 members of our development committee who couldn't be present tonight, and their work is also instrumental. So I really want to shout out the committee. They've worked tirelessly all year long, running all of the different faculty workshop sessions, the community events. So kudos to them, and we're very excited to continue this work. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? We'll start with Member Baez and then work our way around.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Through you, I just want to express how pleased and impressed I am with this work that we just, and this presentation that we just received. I mean, talk about purposeful, thoughtful, and intensive work that has been done. So thank you all for the work that you have been doing. I also want to say that not only is this important for accreditation or a statement to really define and give our district identity, but to that point, we as a policy subcommittee have decided to kind of omit all of our philosophical policies that kind of define our district, because we wanted to wait for the community to give input, like the vision of the graduate, which is going to be instrumental in defining policies like these. So this work of the vision of the graduate is going to go so far in defining our identity as a district on a community-based level, which you guys said it perfectly, from the bottom up, not from the top down. So, and that's the reason why we decided to omit those policies, because we didn't want to create an identity that was based on our own opinions, but based on what the community wants. And so I'm very pleased and very impressed with what you guys came up, community driven, and will define the identity and the philosophy of the Methuen Public Schools. So thank you.
Member Keegan.
I also want to thank you for all of your hard work. This is phenomenal. My one question for you, and I guess it's something to, I hope, focus on, is that we approve competency determination for a graduate, which is all academic based. And I would like to see some of this go into that so that we are actually graduating who we say we want to be graduating. And if there are pieces of this that are not there, then we need to take a look at that and make sure that our graduates are actually having some sort of determination on making this real. And so I would like to challenge you to look at our competency determination for a graduate and embed this vision into those graduation requirements so that we're actually graduating who we're envisioning. And that's all. Thanks.
Member Soros, anything on your end?
I just wanted to start by saying I was at the February 5th gathering at the Nevins. It was fantastic. The students that we have in our schools, it's amazing. The staff, amazing. You all did a great job with this. I look forward to seeing you work with the elementary schools. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask about. It's just a great thing that you have done, and I just want to thank the committee and all the students that have helped out with that. They were so enthusiastic at the Nevins, and they just did a great job. So thank you very much.
I just wanted to quickly comment. First, thank you for your outstanding work. I was excited at the idea of this work, and I think it exceeded my expectations. So thank you for taking the time to involve all the stakeholders as well. And I think Member Keegan is on track, because I just tuned into the Commissioner's quarterly webinar today, where it was shared the graduation requirements that the state is recommending that we proceed with. So hot off the press, it's looking at this point as if there'll be at some point in the near future, beginning with students in grade 6 currently, but by the time they graduate, and they haven't heard this yet either, by the time they graduate, there'll need to be a culminating activity or project, which would, in essence, embed some of this work and some other pieces too, like externship work, on-the-job work, MyCap planning for whatever they desire in post-secondary experience. So I think you're right on track.
Member Willett, would you like to say anything?
I just want to echo my colleagues. It was a very ambitious undertaking, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And all I would encourage is that we have these goals, which are very admirable, but I also would encourage every 6 months or periodically to have updates on the action items of those goals. And I think that, like the superintendent's quarterly reports, in some fashion, I think we have to codify these goals into action item updates. So that's the only thing I would relay as a suggestion. But it was a fantastic presentation, a well-researched document, and I'd be gladly supporting it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The one thing I would like to add to it, I thought this was amazing. And the first place I thought we should put this is the student handbook. Have we thought about incorporating it into the student handbook at all?
That would be appropriate for it to live in there, yes.
And then with that, a mission statement. You have all of it here. You have the curriculum, you have the diagram. I think a statement would really push it to like impact. I mean, the presentation was great. I think a mission statement on your goal here of what that looks like and what that student is would be very impactful for a student reading, like that could be me, without looking through the slide deck or looking at the breakdown. But the mission statement could be your constitution as you push it through further and present it. The last thing I would say too, love the idea with the lower schools and grammar schools. That is huge, to make them feel part of the community and continue to feel that they can be a ranger instead of, the red and whatever over on the other side of town, and some of the private schools. I want them to know that they're rangers starting and through. And so it would be amazing to start seeing how the impact there starts with some of the feedback from the grammar schools going into next year. Anything else from the team?
Vice Chair, I just wanted to ask Dr. Golubsky, can we put this also into the Parent University tab on the website? I think that would be something, even if it was the slides, that they could go through and see those as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
We happen to have some crossover between the staff that run the Parent University site and this team here, so that would be well done. Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Member Soroyce, seconded by Keegan. Member Soroyce, can you take roll, please?
Vice Chair DeZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Member McCarthy Soroyce, yes. Member Willett.
Yes.
Mayor Borga. Unanimous, passes.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Next on the agenda is the notifications of appointments and other personnel matters. Madam Superintendent, the appointment of the interim assistant superintendent of teaching and learning approval. Before we go into discussion, I'll motion and a second to approve the
So moved.
supervising. Okay, I gotta
Second.
read it. I don't have to read it, I guess. No, let me read it first. The supervising principal, Catherine Perotti, as interim assistant superintendent of teaching and learning. I had a motion by Member Baez, seconded by Member
Member Soroyce.
Soroyce. Discussion, member. Acting
That's okay.
superintendent.
I knew what you meant.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to take the opportunity to highlight why Ms. Proietti is such an excellent candidate for this position, and she's also here this evening if you have questions for her. Perhaps you should come up, Ms. Proietti. So we all know Ms. Proietti as the supervising principal of the CGS Grammar School, one of our 4 K-8 schools in the district. But I'd like to share with the public who may not be aware that she has been in that role since 2019, and previously, between 2012 and 2019, was the lower school associate principal there. Prior to that, she served as a literacy coach at the CGS, and prior to that was a lower school teacher. So Ms. Proietti has come through the ranks, as we say, in the grammar school. In addition to that, she's very well respected among her colleagues throughout the district. The students and families speak to her freely, and she's really built a strong relationship founded on trust with those stakeholders. Ms. Proietti is a constant in many of the initiatives that we are working on throughout the district. She takes the lead, she provides feedback, she hears the ideas of others and is able to implement those while also adding her twist to it. She and I think, complement each other well because we see things from different perspectives sometimes, which I think is healthy and productive for the district, but ultimately are loyal and dedicated to the district and share the same goal. And Ms. Proietti holds a BA and MA from Fitchburg State, and also a certificate in school leadership and management from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And Ms. Proietti is also certified as a superintendent / assistant superintendent, which is the licensure. And so I would request that you approve this appointment. We are eager to begin work and already have some goals in mind for the summer to help put us on track for next school year. Thank you.
Would you like to say anything before we?
Thank you for those very kind words. This is just such a wonderful opportunity, and I really appreciate your support in that. I think it's amazing to follow the work of that development team. I think there's a T-shirt in the work there about grow together, better to better or something. I think there's definitely a T-shirt there. I love that. But it just exemplifies what we do here. There are talented, dynamic students here and absolutely robust, dynamic educators here. So I'm very excited to continue that work that we've done. Yes, it's been 30 years at the CGS, but I'm very excited to take kind of that perspective and look at it from a different lens. So I'm very excited about the opportunity in celebrating all of the amazing students that we have here and the dynamic, dedicated educators that we have here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Any questions from the committee? Member Sir Royce?
I would just like to make a statement that I know that Ms. Proietti is very well respected at the CGS. She's respected by all the staff, the students, the families. You've done a fantastic job at the CGS, and I'm looking forward to bringing your ideas that you had and have at the CGS and implementing them in all of our elementary schools. I think that it also should be mentioned that you were a Methuen High graduate, and I'm always proud to see one of our own getting a promotion like this, and it's very, very well deserved, and I congratulate you.
Thank you. It's important to me too. I've stayed here and I'm very proud of that. So thank you for recognizing that.
Member Willett, would you like to say anything? I don't want to be last with you, but I just want to make sure you're heard.
No, I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. I just echo my colleagues. I mean, this is a slam dunk, non-controversial, fantastic choice. I commend the acting superintendent. I look forward to appointing her, and if we can expedite the vote, that's great.
Member Keegan?
Thank you.
I met Katie way back when my daughter, my oldest, and then my second were reading so far above grade level that they couldn't be tested in the classroom because the classroom teachers are capped at how far they were allowed to test at the time. And so Katie was the one that was doing the reading testing and challenging my kids and figuring out what they needed to be challenged in the classroom. And her ideas were amazing, that she was able to reach kids that were so far above the grade level and so far below and still figure it all out. And so I'm super excited to see that go into the superintendent's office so that we're able to reach all the kids in the district in that aspect. And I'm really excited because, you know, when we look at our MCAS scores, you did an amazing thing this year and boost our MCAS scores by 11% at the CGS. And I'm really excited to see that happen district-wide and see what you can do to bring whatever the magic is going on over at the CGS throughout the whole district.
Thank you.
I fully support this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Member Bias?
Thank you. Echoing everything that my colleagues have said, I'm looking forward to supporting this vote. I want to mention something that hasn't been mentioned before, and it's to commend you for your bravery and courage to step into this role, because it is no secret that Branch Street, there's been a level of uncertainty in leadership, and this is the first step of establishing that certainty. And it's a brave and courageous thing to do, to be invested in this way of heading straight into that straight on. And I really want to commend you for that and appreciate your service to this district.
Thank you.
Everyone said everything, but
No, I feel like I should be like, I don't know, writing checks or something. Thank you all. You're filling my soul so much.
the one thing I will say, though, is I am, in many of the votes that I've taken here in Methuen, this is one that I'm very confident on. So I'm excited to work with you and with the committee and the leadership team. You know, when one door opens or closes, another one opens. This is the way I look at it. So I appreciate you stepping into the role as we course correct everything in the last year. So hopefully welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I think Gina, Ian, Lisa, no, Gina.
I don't even look on
I know,
that side of the room
I
anymore.
can't. My heart's a little broken still, but I'm gonna get over it.
I don't even look over there
I
anymore.
think the team makes it very easy. I think I've worked with these women for years, and I think that just their leadership and their ability to, instead of asking why not. I'm really excited for that. Similar to what Member Keegan was talking about, I think we have dynamic things happening here, and I think it's why not? Why aren't we trying that? Let's try something new, and I'm very excited. This team makes it very easy to jump into something like this because I know how much their hearts are in it. So I'm excited. So thank you. Thank you for your very kind words.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair DeZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Member McCarthy Sarois, yes. Member Willett.
Yes.
Yes. Unanimous.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I do want to recognize your partners, your husbands here. Good luck. All right. We will move on to the regularly scheduled agenda that we have here now. Going over to the staff reports, acting superintendent, the acting superintendent update, please.
Thank you. Just navigate there in my packet.
Same here.
Okay. I thought I'd begin tonight by talking about the work that we have been doing in terms of our budget and staffing. So as you know, we anxiously and eagerly await the FY27 state budget to finalize or understand the additional funding that will be coming to Methuen Public Schools. And because we are unsure of what that figure will be, we have needed to take action to notify staff members of a reduction in force in order to be in line with the contractual obligations of doing so before June 15th. So over the course of the week, and we'll continue tomorrow, we have been traveling to schools, myself, Colleen McCarthy, our HR director, either of the union co-presidents join us as well, and then a building administrator. We've been going at the end of the school day and calling staff members down individually. To date, we've done, I believe, 28 meetings. And this week we're focused on staff for whom we don't have a place unless we get additional funding. Next week we'll begin meeting with staff members who would need to leave their building, not by choice, which we call an involuntary transfer. And so we'll explain to them that the reduction in positions have necessitated a change of building, and here is why. So I think it's important for you to also know that prior to us making those decisions, we've sent several emails out to staff asking if they, in fact, would like to try a different building, different grade level. Another survey went out asking if there was some licensure changes that they needed to upload into Frontline. And then we've gone back again and targeted specific buildings, asking if they would like to move to a different building. So we have had some responses there, which has been helpful. While this process was taking place, we received 2 letters of resignation, which in essence saved 2 of our staff members who wish to stay in the district. And as we're meeting with our teachers, we've been meeting primarily with K through 6 general education teachers. What I've been struck by is the familiarity they have with the process, because many have gone through this again last year. And so that struck me. I wasn't expecting to be met with that reaction. And so that's difficult. When we've been giving the letters to our staff members, and we've been looking at different licensure they may have, we're also looking and asking if they've had or expressed an interest in special education previously, because as you know, we do have some teaching positions in special education that have been vacant throughout the school year, and others that we filled with contractual service workers. We'd prefer using our own staff. We have identified about a dozen staff members who either had been at one point pursuing the licensure, maybe had even majored in moderate disability education in college, or had worked in our summer programming and really liked it, and were willing to try. So we have accepted that interest, recommended that they apply for licensure, and begin that process. And for some staff members who were unsure, we talked about maybe they consider the special education route, and then if we are able to recall their position in order, that they would still be offered that opportunity. So they wouldn't lose their place in line, so to speak, in their original field of K through 6 general education. But that's been really interesting, and some staff members were excited by that. So we'll see, depending on funding, how that plays out. And so I'd like to thank the co-presidents of the MEA. They have been excellent to work with, collaborating on our seniority lists and our approach. And I think everyone has an understanding this is not something that we want to do, and again, that it's in some ways temporary or tentative. We've promised all staff members that we met with that we will let them know as soon as possible, once we get that final word from the state, as to whether they will be able to stay in their position, and also we'll let them know as soon as possible if we've exhausted the funding and we don't think that we will have a place for them. That's important to us to communicate that as soon as possible. And I think that by sending out those surveys and requests, ask if teachers would like to switch buildings, we've had some interesting responses that I wasn't expecting, which I'm interested to see how the cross-pollination between schools and staff and grade level might impact teaching and learning there as well. So not ideal at all, but I'd like to thank the staff and central office for being so collaborative and professional throughout this process. So I'll pause there if there's any questions on that front.
I'll start on this end, Member Bias.
Thank you. I just want to recognize the difference in, or I believe the difference in the process from last year to this year. I know it was a conversation that we have had, and I'm on my end, I'm seeing the circumstances. I'm pleased with in terms of the circumstances, the process, and in giving out these notices and meeting face to face. And I want to thank you for taking that into consideration.
Thank you.
Member Keegan.
I just want to recognize all of the staff that are getting these notices, that, you know, we value each and every one of them, and I personally want to just thank them for everything that they've done. And you know, I feel the sadness of having to go through this year after year after year, and I appreciate every single staff member hanging on with us as we go through this. So I just want to acknowledge how difficult this is on everybody. You know, we talk about the social emotional issues that our students have, but it doesn't help when we're putting our staff through this also. And I just want to recognize that difficulty. The other thing I just want to address is there's two students that came up here about the assistant band director. That position was not on the list that we voted on for the $118 million. That position was added to the list to get down to the 114 from the city. And so I just want to make sure I'm correct that, when the money comes from the state and we get up to that 118, that position will be reinstated because it was not on the list that we approved. Is that correct?
There were a few positions that were not on the list that you approved because we needed to get down to that extra 4 million. But that will definitely be in consideration to reinstate. I think what I want to make clear is that, and I mentioned this before, sometimes a listed reduction in terms of position isn't so straightforward. So we'll be speaking with that department next week. But we certainly intend for there to be additional support beyond the main director of the band during the school day and after the school day. It just might take a different shape. And so sometimes when we're talking about a role, we're not talking about that person specifically either. And so I'd like to assure, I spoke to some parents this week too, assure everyone that we value fine arts, certainly, and that there are a number of positions which I know mean a lot to all of us here, and that we'll certainly take that under consideration. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Member Royce.
Well, being last, everyone said what I wanted to say. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Member Willett still has to go. So I'll say what he was going to say, and then he won't have to say anything. But I did want to talk about the band, so thank you for that. But I did want to personally thank Dr. Golubsky, your administration team, the union co-chairs for meeting individually with each member. I think that was important, and I think it showed the respect that you all have for these staff members, and that it's hard for you as well as it is for them. So I appreciate the way you approached it, and I want to thank you for that.
Member Willett.
Thank you. Obviously, I want to commend the acting superintendent. I don't envy the burden that's been placed on your shoulders. I think working in collaboration with the impacted parties alleviates the situation as best you can. Obviously, it's not a good situation when we lay off people, excellent people, well-qualified people, dedicated to our school system year after year. And again, I emphasize for the record, and Max Page, the president of the Massachusetts Teachers Association, concurs with me. He emphasized that there's an $800 million surplus linked to the millionaire's tax, that if the legislature even took 25% of that, would save more of our jobs and potentially add more services to the district. There's a competitive election in November. Regardless of your party affiliation, the governor's going to be on the ballot. You know, if you are independent or Democrat that leans to voting for Democrats, you need to call the governor's office and emphasize to her that your vote will be contingent on releasing that $200 or $300 million from the surplus and dedicate it to Chapter 70. The Mass Budget think tank indicated that there's a $7 to $8 million gap in Chapter 70 because of inflation. This is like a bad version of the movie Groundhog Day with no happy ending. It's preventable. The legislature at any time can take up a supplemental or emergency budget to address local deficiencies in local aid and school aid. This is an abomination when you have $800 million surplus for the millionaire's tax that was designed for education. So I echo the MTA president in saying that we have to mobilize all of our forces and call the governor's office, call the Speaker's office and the Senate President and relay to them that your vote will count in November and you vote in every election. It has to be not us fighting each other locally. And I have a due respect to the senator. He's been phenomenal for Methuen. But again, unfortunately, it's not enough. So when we have these horror stories of these people having to be let go, young, energetic, dedicated, licensed, they pursue all their education for years, to have this happen, and it could be preventable because the legislature could step in because of a millionaire's tax that was passed by the voters. Unfortunately, it seems like the legislature isn't abiding by the audit, and it seems to me that they're not abiding by the millionaire's tax, even though I opposed it. So it's foolhardy to have a surplus be diverted when it was specifically designed for education, and there's a disparity going to the T. It's an outrage. I just have to say that, but thank you, Acting Superintendent. Thank you, Teachers Union. It's a very unfortunate situation, but I applaud everybody.
Thank you. Do you want to say something?
And just a quick mention, I added to this, the memo as well. I had a meeting with Boston vs. Bullies the other day. I don't know if you're familiar with that program, but it's run in partnership with the Boston Sports Museum, and professional athletes film videos with anti-bullying messages, bullying prevention messages, and it accompanies a curriculum which addresses not only how victims of bullying or a treatment that appears like bullying, how they should act or advocate, but it also addresses those who are doing the bullying and bystanders and supports them in becoming upstanders. So that's a free curriculum. It's high interest due to the professional athletes that are conveying these messages. And so I have committed to working with Boston vs. Bullies this year. It will complement our second step bullying curriculum nicely. And the recommended grade levels for this curriculum are grades 4 through 6. And they recommend perhaps starting with 1. So we'll be working on that over the summer as well. But that was just a quick mention of a newly established partnership. And I didn't have it on here, but also meeting with Stickball, which is an organization that provides free, personalized for the district school and grade level financial literacy curricula. And that will be hugely important to us in a number of ways. It's something that the upper school students have been asking for years. Is also highlighted in the Commissioner's Quarterly today as becoming part of graduation requirements moving forward. So I look forward to working with them as well.
On the bullies part, or okay, go ahead.
So obviously I'm fairly new to the committee, so I had a note about when the last time we saw unsubstantiated versus substantiated bullying numbers, and what those numbers were.
I can't recall the last time they were shared, but I do know what they are, so I could share them this evening, and Ms. Bozak could corroborate that as well. So this would be from this school year. This school year alone. This is district-wide grammar school data. We had 13 substantiated claims, 66 unsubstantiated claims, and 9 claims that were withdrawn. Ms. Bozak, do you want to elaborate on some of those figures?
No, those are all correct. So I'm corroborating that, and I'm just trying to pull up the last time we gave an update, because we did give an update earlier this school year. And earlier this school year, it was also a comparison from last school year to where we were this year. So I think it was around probably December or January that we provided that update.
And I'm wondering if folks at home might have a question about withdrawn, what that means in terms of a bullying investigation.
Yeah, so claims withdrawn is when the person that initiated the bullying claim, parent, student, withdrew the request for the investigation. So.
Thank you. Thank you for those numbers. I also just want to give you guys a chance to speak on, because I don't want it to get chaotic out there. When a bullying investigation comes up unsubstantiated, what follows after that? In terms of, is there action taken by the district, or because I think that there's just because a bullying claim comes unsubstantiated doesn't mean that there isn't action.
Correct.
To remedy the situation, whatever that may be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I can speak to that. Sure. So if a bullying investigation turns out unsubstantiated, there may be some other district policies that were violated. So there may be some disciplinary consequences. There may be some supportive measures or safety plans that are put in place, and ongoing check-ins as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Keegan?
Since we're on the bullying reports, et cetera, when we send the letter for substantiated, unsubstantiated, do we explain why it was unsubstantiated? Do we explain like what the reason it ended up not being substantiated? Like, for instance, it wasn't the third one, it wasn't XYZ. Like, do we do that?
Yes, so beyond just a letter going home, prior to that, Ms. Mosqueda actually has a phone conversation with both the aggressor's family as well as the target's family. So everybody hears that information and has the explanation of why, and then it's followed with the letter that says whether it was substantiated or unsubstantiated. And if something's unsubstantiated and someone disagrees, that letter also includes what the procedures would be for next steps for parents to pursue through the state for the complaint.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Is there a certain step-by-step process that is followed by Ms. Mosqueda, or like how is the process done, I guess is my question. As far as someone reports a bullying issue, they report it to the principal?
A report can come in from anyone, and then it filters into directly to Ms. Mosqueda. So it could be a parent meeting and a conversation comes up and a bullying claim is stated, then whoever is in that meeting brings it to their building administration, who brings it to Ms. Mosqueda. And then Ms. Mosqueda follows the timelines and procedures that are outlined in our current bullying plan.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? All right. Let's move on to student enrollment data. Any questions on that from the committee? Member Vyas?
Through you, Mr. Vice. Perhaps this question has already been answered before, but I was just wondering if we also track reasons for withdrawals, like, for example, homeschooling or leaving due to moving out of the district or going to private school. I think that seeing we as a committee, we've had discussions on national and state trends and what those data means. I think that having also that set of data is quite important to know where our students are going.
Yes, I believe that was requested at a previous meeting. So our data administrator, Matt Sorko, had pulled that for us for this evening. And so the data that I'm sharing with you now includes over the summer previous to the school year, any withdrawals. And these are reported by families as to why and where the student is going. So of the unenrollments that we've had since last summer, or since the school year ended last year, 62% of those students transferred to a Massachusetts public school. So another Massachusetts public school.
Just a point of clarification, that could be a charter school too, right?
It could. 17% transferred to a public school in a different state. 8% transferred to a private or religiously affiliated school. 3% went to a school outside of the United States. And 9% were classified as other. Mr. Serqua let me know that that category had, I believe it was 17 students in it, with each had a different note. So it could have been homeschool, it could have been the parent was unclear, and then when we tried to follow what the plans were, we couldn't identify them as being in where they said they might be. But I also wanted to note that those unenrollments reasons are really important in terms of high school, because if we're unable to track where a student went or ended up, that goes into our dropout data. So even if the student is moving and the family tells us that, but they don't give us a specific location and we can't get confirmation of that or track them down, then they would fall in that area too. So we try, especially at the high school, to be pretty accurate in those reports.
You all set, Mr. Bud? I have one question to piggyback off that, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's 62% though.
Mm-hmm.
We could pull tax data to be able to see if the family's still in Methuen from a residency perspective. Like, I would love to know how many of the kids are now going to a charter school or another, a school choice program.
School choice program, we have that information, don't we, of who's going? We should have that. So I can break down that 62 further.
I would like to see what that 62 is, especially if they're still in the district. Member Keegan.
The 8% going to private religious, how many, is it possible to figure out how many of those students are 8th grade going into 9th grade? So we can figure out, like, because if they're withdrawing over the summer from 8th grade going into 9th grade, those are kids going to another high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just necessarily a random transfer. So that I feel like that 8%, how much of that 8% is 8th graders going into 9th grade? And
I can check that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I'll check that for you. I will say I have seen the spreadsheet of where students are going, if they're going elsewhere from Methuen High School, grade 8 to grade 9. And over the years, the number of students going to, let's say, a private Catholic school has dwindled, and GLTS is becoming more significant in terms of our population of students not coming to Methuen High School.
Right, and also that 62% are those, because those are the kids going to GLTS, right?
Which would be public.
Counted in there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it would be great to know how many of the kids being withdrawn are the grade 8 going into grade 9.
Okay.
Because that's a different population, per se, than the kids moving in and out of the district.
Sure.
So just a point of clarification, I thought you had to re-register going into high school.
You are naturally registered. So we have even students, when we go around to the grammar schools and share about our courses that are offered, we do recommend that students choose a course of study, even if they intend to go elsewhere, because their registration carries.
So that number includes high school students too?
The figures I gave to you today, and I can parse those out more significantly too.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking of another idea. What might be interesting to look at is students coming in.
Because I'm looking at the withdrawal numbers, it doesn't add up though to that. That's the thing, is I'm looking here at the withdrawals from last August, let's say. Even in June, you're looking at 30 kids, 35 kids. Like, if we lose hundreds of kids. So that's why I'm like is this for enrollment statistics aligned to what you're providing us? Because I'm looking at, again, August and June, the enrollments are higher than the withdrawals. Withdrawals aren't even close to the 100 number like a GLTS takes from us.
Well, not noted there is the June, July figures. So let me clarify with Mr. Serqua, and then I can bring you a more detailed report at the next workshop. And I can identify the bubbles of students too. By that point, I can even share with you the intent of students in grade 8 to 9 who are going elsewhere where they intend to go. I say intend because we do get a number of them who do arrive at Methuen High School.
I'd just like Dr. Golovsky to finish her thought she just had, because I think it was the same thought that I had.
Okay. My thought was I'd also like to look at students enrolling and where they're coming from. Because we have a high transition rate in the district, relatively high. It's 15 to 18% year to year, with typically students coming from other public schools in Massachusetts. Sometimes they'll leave and come back. But that would be interesting to note too, I thought.
I think the other interesting thing to note would be students that are coming in as freshmen and have never attended our schools before. I think that's an interesting thing to look at as well, because I know a lot of students attend other schools through grade 8 and then come to Methuen High School.
I did last year, I believe, pull students who stayed in Methuen Public Schools from grade 3 to 9, because I was looking at the MCAS data and trying to see if our programs are effective. And I believe at that point it was 66% of grade 9 students had been in Methuen since grade 3. But I will get that as well.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how many students register as freshmen at the high school.
Anything else from the committee?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. You're all set. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I just want to highlight a concern I had, and maybe we can get an explanation for it. In terms of the residency withdrawals, we accumulated 29, and we usually average about 50 residency-related withdrawals because of a paperwork or violations. But February, March, April, May, and June, there's absolutely no data. So either we are lagging and we're done for the year, which I'm concerned about, or it could have been just by accident. That data is not there, because to me, it would almost be a statistical anomaly, big time, if you had September, October, November, December, January, right, going into the school year, and then going into the remainder second half of the school year, and you have blank 0, 0, 0. So I'm concerned about that. If this could be an explanation for that, I appreciate it, because that's something that I think the vast majority of Methuen residents support some version of residency enforcement, and we really strengthen the policy. But again, it could be a typographical thing or a data accident, but I just want to make sure. Thank you.
So Member Willett, I can speak to that. I can't speak to why there's no number there, but I can confirm that the residency investigations have continued. So I need to just circle back to find out why that data is not pulling.
Okay, so I would appreciate through the acting superintendent to receive a report within a timely fashion, even within a week. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before I go? All right. I kind of want to take this a step further, especially if we're looking at residency lines in the future and redistricting. Is there a way we can do this, everything we've asked here, based off of schools by grade?
Yes.
Because that will probably answer a lot of the questions that have been asked here. in one report, because that 8th grade to high school number would be shown from a total transition. And then we'll also have potentially that new percentage number of how many are new students coming from an 8th grade into our high school system. Because I look here and I see a net of 500 students in this report. But that's not taken into fact then, people that left 8th grade into high school year, and then also our graduates. So that is kind of painting it like, oh, we increased students this year. We did not increase students this year. We're pretty flat, actually, right?
Across the district, enrollment-wise, we lost about 200. The freshman class does grow over time.
Yeah.
As they persist through high school.
And then also,
Mr. Chairman,
let me just finish my thought here, please.
I apologize.
Yeah. And then also, I think what will show is that we are losing students in certain areas of the district and gaining them in another. That's why I'm looking at this.
Yes,
pulling out the schools.
unofficially, yes, when we have students enroll, we recognize they go to particular schools. More frequently, it's Timony and Tenney, our new enrollees. When I was looking at the discipline report and I manually update the enrollment counts, I think all schools went up from last month except one lost one student, but there's still students arriving.
Even this late into the year.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think I've floated an idea, especially to you, about school of choice within the district for new students next year. Being new to the district, if I was a Timony or Tenney student, I could pick between my home school versus also choosing from the Marsh and the CGS as an option. And then if I was in the Marsh or CGS district, picking between the Marsh or the CGS. I think this will help us with some crowd control. I also would be surprised how many would actually want to switch. It would also help with our community, in a way, when a new person's looking to move to Methuen, to potentially have a choice on where to live instead of looking at the market on where the school of choice is where I want to move. I think this is an opportunity. I believe Lawrence and Lowell both do it, and it's been successful. I also think it will help in the process of redistricting in the future. I do believe there's ways of making transportation possible. I know that Timony and Tenney had to redo their bus loops and redo their drop-offs because of how many people were driving kids to school. So I don't think getting there could be a problem when parents are by the drones are driving into our schools and dropping off students in the morning. I think this will also help with traffic. So I would like to hear your thoughts on that at a later date this summer. I'm not asking for an opinion now, and if we have to do a policy change on that, I will gladly draft something. I've actually asked Mike Baccaro his thoughts on it, and there is legislation or policies in place in other districts that we could potentially present here to make it easier. And I think that would, it's not a cost savings, I think it's more of a balancing act at this point. You don't have to give your feedback now.
Okay.
We could have a
No, I'll just say briefly, that is one approach to redistricting, is to say, there's X amount of seats at the school, and then go through a lottery system, or to have people raise their hand and say they would like to be considered for that. I would say that we should proceed with the study that we had talked about, looking at our enrollment trends, our buildings, seeing what's a benefit to us financially, and also the will of the students and families as well, especially for next school year. I don't see for the FY27 school year. Right now, we've been working with class sizes and staffing that's pretty tight, and that's how we've been handing out our notices and shuffling teachers. So I would caution you that would likely be better as one of the opportunities that you might be considering for the FY28 school year. And I'll leave it at that for now.
The one thing I would add to, and then member Willett, I didn't forget you, is that we're going to need to find space, especially if Constellation ends up getting approved in July by the city council. The long-term plan is finding space. So we're going to have that consultant come in to do and I'm not sure, Mr. Goslin, if I recall the last meeting, we said we would start drafting an RFP potentially for it.
Yeah, we're reaching out to see if we can get someone who's already done something similar.
Right. If we can have an update
Yep.
before you,
I'll have an update for the next meeting.
thank you.
Yep.
And outside of that, I think it's protecting this idea of constellations. When we bring more students, we're going to need to know where we're putting it in the long run. So I am confident that we could probably, with that consultant coming in, be able to find some space for the long-term plan of making it a permanent location. Mr. Willett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you raised some valid points, so I eagerly was listening to that. I just wanted to offer this to the body and to the acting superintendent. First, in terms of a compromise on school choice, the acting superintendent might want to send a survey to gauge support for the existing residency enforcement policy. And if we need to strengthen it, would they be in favor of it? Additional audits. My mindset is this. The philosophical issues on school choice, there's advantages and disadvantages to it, and there's merit to it. And I think in the sense of compromise, I could agree to school choice on a limited basis, experimental basis, to garner more money to save more jobs. But in exchange for that, I want better security of residency enforcement. Now that might entail more audits, but I also want to gauge the parents, because ultimately they're going to be burdened with the paperwork. We have selective audits, and it's been pretty good. And there's a reporting system and the residency enforcement update that was drafted by Councilor Pesh and Councilor DeZaglio. I commend portions of it because they enhance my original policy. But I think if we can survey quickly the parents, gauge still support for the residency enforcement policy, which I think is still there, and if they want to even increase enforcement, that's a decision for the body. But if we can have that survey confirmed and strengthen the residency enforcement policy further, school choice involves authorizing outside students, not the students that illegally attend Methuen public schools and drain the taxpayers. So if it was talk of $2 million and having kindergartners up to 20 students, and it's experimental, and if there's a commitment from the body to increase residency enforcement, add additional personnel, involve the police, hire a truancy officer, again, I will take that vote on school choice in order to save further jobs. So, and if a survey can be sent out as soon as possible, like we did for the cell phone policy, I think it will be a quick gauge to the committee to guide it. Thank you.
Mr. Willett, I would recommend you sending that in an email as a formal request to it, just so you have it in writing, if you would like.
Yeah, I absolutely would do that, Mr. Chairman. Valid point.
Thank you. Anything else on enrollment? All right, moving on to the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services report. Any questions on the report?
Can I just make a comment first?
All yours.
So we are in the process of closing out all of our invoices that are coming in. So I'm sure that that number for year-to-date transportation expenses under McKinney-Vento will have seen an increase. But we're closing that out right now, which is why I don't have that increase to share tonight.
Any questions? All right. Moving on to the Director of Human Resources report. Any questions on that?
Mr. Vice, through you.
Member Baez.
Thank you. I was just wondering if the data is consistent with the RIF notices that have been.
No, this list here is currently for this school year, so it doesn't incorporate notices or transfers for next year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to the discipline report. Any questions there? Member Baez.
Thank you. Once again, so I'm looking at the discipline report and I see the Tenney, for example, the largest population, yet the lowest percentage of unique students in the student population. I see the Timony, likewise, higher population, one of the lower numbers of unique students and student populations. What is being done at the Timony and the Tenney, and I know they have the RISC program, for example, but that shows these types of numbers and that are vastly different in the other schools. And I know that the Timony, for example, and I spoke with Principal Reeves this afternoon about an extraordinary staff member, Mr. Rodriguez, who is a part of that RISC program. Is it a good idea to kind of perhaps see if we could have like some sort of trainings for staff in the other schools with this RISC program, or Mr. Rodriguez going to different schools and kind of gauging and giving some feedback? Because I see these numbers and I have to say that I'm, you know, like they're so impressive that I have to question their validity. Can we see a future where we kind of if we don't have the money to expand the RISC program, but kind of see if we could have, for example, Mr. Rodriguez go to different schools and kind of give some feedback or some advice in that sort of way?
Certainly, we value Mr. Rodriguez's contributions to the school, and I think we do have staff members in other buildings as well who are skilled and influential in that way. One thing that comes to mind that we've been working on is our collaborative problem-solving program, which provides a framework for how staff can serve to de-escalate students, how they should talk with them to process actions rather than perhaps going a disciplinary route right away. We're also changing the way that we are gathering behavioral data. And so our, starting next school year, we have a pilot looking at it now. And so right now we're gathering behavioral data as infractions or rule violations. And Mr. Crocker has been a proponent of also saying that doesn't help us change the behavior or support behavior management or adjustment over time or notice trends. And so we have a pilot now where teachers, counselors, administrators are entering behaviors, but also context, which is suggestive of the root that caused that dysregulation in the students, that we can seek to identify trends. I will say too that we are looking at over our Leadership Academy this summer and throughout the next school year doing more calibrating practices where there's case studies of this is an event and looking at how different associate principals would codify that or the consequence that would be awarded for that to make sure that we're being consistent that way. but certainly there's some discrepancies in the numbers and some good practices that are worth sharing, I think. So I think you hit the nail on the head that way. And I think each supervising principal would have a hunch about what they think is causing those areas of effectiveness within their specific buildings.
Thank you. If I may continue, I have some other questions.
Sure.
Thank you. And so with these numbers for the Timony, I just want to, I wonder if these definitions like fights or attacking, right? Is there like a specific definition that falls under? Because again, 35 fights in the year, just based on, calls, messages that we receive, I mean, is there something that I'm missing with these numbers?
Not that I believe. So what we're trying to capture in that column are the physical aspects of altercations that may happen over a school day. And so fighting would be defined as two or more students both engaging in the physical act, whereas attacking would be one. And so again, I think there's an area for calibration in some of these categories, but this would be one where it's pretty cut and dry whether there is something physical that occurred or not. I will say, and certainly I think you all in the general public would understand that when you have a cluster of adolescents in a building, in a grade level, and there seems to be trends in behavior or the culture of the grade, classroom, and building, you'll notice that whereas in some schools, obscene or disruptive behavior is higher than physical and attacking behavior or violations of that nature. So what we did midway through the year was these numbers were looking really unaligned, and some looked very high. I get a notification every time a student is suspended, and from what I was seeing in my email as to what was coming out in the reports, there was a big discrepancy. These numbers were higher. And so our data analysts looked and noticed that our associate principals were using codes that they thought best described the behavior. But those weren't DESE identified codes. And so the DESE identified codes are the ones that DESE recognizes as being a suspendable offense. And so we had to ask, and they did this, and I thank them for doing that, our associate principals to go back and review every action that they took in Infinite Campus to give the proper coding to it. And what we noticed when we spoke with them was there was a level of frustration because the limited codes they were able to assign in action didn't truly represent what actually happened in that action. So we had agreed over the summer as part of our Leadership Academy that we will redefine and rephrase our in-house descriptions of what happened to match what they're typically seeing. So there could be instances here where it might fit in one or the other, and they're picking one to code. And so there's that aspect of it too.
Gotcha. I just have two more questions, and I'm going to put them together. And it's, so weapons and criminal/weapons, right? MHS and the TENI are significantly higher, if I remember correctly. Yes. So I just want to know if we could get data on unique student population on those. It's such a small number, 9, 10, right? But still, based on the fact that it's such a egregious offense, weapons, right? For example, and we have some emerging problems. I think it's incumbent to know if those are, unique students every time, or if it's just a small group of students, right? I think that's important. And finally, it's other handbook violations. Could we just get into some examples on what that means? Those are the last two questions.
Sure. An example of other handbook violation would include excessive class cuts. What'd you say? Excessive tardies, lunch block violations where you're not attending class in a split lunch block, leaving campus without permission, anything that is not what we deem unsafe, I think is a good way to think about it, where we're not sure where the student is. So if, I'm thinking of the high school, if they're repeatedly not where they're supposed to be in class and we're having to track them down, not only are they missing instructional time, but we as the district are unsure of their location, and so we call that a matter of safety, and so that would be a violation.
Thank you. And regarding the criminal, like the unique set of...
Sure. And criminal/weapon is the DESE recognized category. And so I mentioned earlier in the year, some of these weapons are household items used as a weapon. So it could be a pencil, it could be nail clippers, it could be something, a toy, novelty item. To my knowledge, and again, I'm since December, I'm aware of all of the cases that fall in these categories. I can't recall any duplicates, but I will check that to be sure, because I'm not sure about the start of the school year.
Thank you very much.
Member Keegan.
I just have a question about the out-of-school suspension percentage. Timoney, Marsh, Methuen High, and Tenney are all at 4%, and the CGS is at 7%. They're almost double the other schools for percentage-wise. Is that because they're suspending more often for no good reason? Or is it because we have a different population housed at the CGS that has higher suspension rates? Or that's just a curious outlier. And so I'm a little bit concerned that we're suspending more there without, or they're just more quick to jump to a suspension versus other behavioral things.
So I think that's worth looking into, but there's a couple aspects to that. I wouldn't say that it's because there's a certain population or program of student there. I don't think that's the case. But when we're talking about behavioral incidents, the number of students involved in a behavioral incident could vary depending on the incident, the school. So it could be a very similar experience or incident in different schools, but perhaps one could involve 4 students, another could involve 2, and then that's impacting the unique students in the percentage. So that might be one thing. It could be an area of calibration or discussion, not to say they're incorrect for having a higher percentage. Maybe there's a reason behind that, but an area to look at.
Right, it's
There's
just
always a story to the data, for sure.
Right, that's exactly it, and it's just surprising that the CGS, which is the smallest school, has the highest percentage of out-of-school suspensions.
Mhm.
It's just kind of an odd, it just jumps out at me.
Uh-huh.
That's all, thank you.
Anyone else? Member Willett, anything on your end?
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The one question I have is, and I actually kind of piggybacks after Member Keegan, I kind of like the higher number of out-of-school suspensions. I think that's strict. It's now not if the student is in line to get suspended, because I look at the high school right now, that's 1 incident per student. That's ridiculous. You're almost 1 for 1, 1,597 behavioral incidents not resulting in out-of-school suspension. 393 unique, and then out of that, only 116 were out-of-school suspension. And then again, I look at the reasons, and it just, to me, it doesn't add up to like the CGS and the Marsh. I think the CGS and Marsh have been strict, and I think that's what we need to continue to do. Because here's the thing, is when we see leniency, that's where the programs continue to go, or the students continue to follow that behavior into the high school. And it becomes the high school's problem. I think we got to stop being friends with these students all the time. All right? I've walked in the high school several times in the last 6 months, and I've seen dress code violations. I've seen cell phone policy violations. I've seen students do things in the hall that I've reported. I think students are just, again, we yell at them and tell them stop doing it, and then they do it again. We gotta get back to the basics, and it's not against the law when they are disrupting students and they feel like they gotta go to a different school. You wanna look at the numbers? Let's see how many freshmen leave this year to go to a different school system.
It's not many. I'll tell you that. We actually get students back from private schools as the year goes on, so the grade 9 class will grow, undoubtedly through grade 12. I do want to point out, and I don't want to penalize teachers for putting in the behavioral incidents and logging them. And in the category that is behavioral incidents not resulting in OSS, there was an action that was taken there, whether it was a parent meeting, whether it was after-school detention, office detention. The high school also has an in-school suspension space that's used temporarily during the day if a student needs to regulate or come down. But I think that column of unique students involved in behavioral incidents is really important. So in the high school with nearly 1,600 students, there's 385 students who are in these categories. And it could be for something relatively minor, or it could not be. And that's the age-old story where there's a handful of students that cause a disruption. But I certainly don't want to give the impression that Methuen High School is not strict and we don't have students that are outstanding. And being at the high school, it's a little bit different in terms of treating a young adult. And you might have a conversation with them and they're able to redirect their behavior, and they don't necessarily need to have the impact of being out of school. So I just wanted to make that point.
Is the cell phone policy a handbook violation?
The cell phone policy it could be a handbook violation. I also have another report that's printed out through Infinite Campus for that. But it's a progressive discipline approach. So if there's a violation, the teacher doesn't go right to the computer and import it. And I think there's an art to teaching in a high school as well, where you want to be cognizant to not embarrass a student or disrupt a class entirely. So teachers are pretty crafty about, tapping the desk, reminding the student to put things away. That being said, I did apply for the cell phone grant on behalf of the district that the AG's office was offering. And that's monies to support bell-to-bell cell phone policies. So the policy we have was one of the 3 in the pillars that were recommended by the AG's office. And that the money was in recognition that there may be some marketing, advertisement, support in policing, and maybe even materials needed to enact that policy. So I was excited for that because I think we can tighten up there, and that would give us the support and means to do so.
We got to enforce it, though. And if the teacher, unfortunately, isn't going to have the support to do that, that's a whole different story. If the teacher says, there's a cubby right here, everyone put their phone in there, and the kid says, nope, not doing it, what's the outcome?
So our policy doesn't say that. Our policy says the student has the choice of putting their phone in the holder or out of sight in their school bag. And that was purposeful. The school committee felt as though there was an element of safety that might be compromised if it were out of the student's reach. So some members were vocal about that. So to have the phone out of reach during instructional time or sight or in the holder. I myself did some walkthroughs of the high school last week. I rarely see phones in the holder. Students prefer them in their own their bags typically, but I did go through a classroom. There were about 7 phones in the holder. And so I do like that students know themselves enough to say, this is too distracting for me, I need to put this in here. Or it could have been the case that the teacher directed them to, and they've established that rapport where it wasn't combative and they knew to do that. But certainly in the fall, in the start of the school year, is when we establish our routines. And so Mr. Corrett and I have talked about supporting the staff in establishing those routines from the get-go, because once the year has started and the students have a certain understanding of the classroom, it's hard to establish that midstream. Especially in grade 9 when they transition to the high school and they're learning what high school is like, that's when we want to capture them and set those expectations.
I think we got to look at the policy too to also include Bluetooth technology. It does. The headphones, AirPods.
And it changes every year. Now we have the glasses.
It was specifically written with the glasses in mind because I know my kid was bringing their glasses
Meta.
and yeah, the Meta glasses. And I'm like, it's crazy that, we're not going to cover those too. So it's any technology like that. So anything that connects to the Wi-Fi.
Does it
or
call
whatever.
it out though? I don't
It
think it calls it out.
Well, it doesn't call out specifically because we wanted it to grow with whatever new technology comes along. So it does. It was an umbrella for all
Okay.
communications.
All right, I got to go back to it because I interpreted it a different way.
And I believe it states during instructional time.
Instructional time's all day, other than lunch block and maybe an elective that you have like a reading or.
But what about in the hallways? Do you
That's
consider that
if
instructional?
you're in English and you go to go through the hallway to go to the bathroom or go to the nurse, that's instructional time. I'm sorry, if you're taking your phone out to use the bathroom and listen to music to go down the hall, I'm sorry, that's taking time away from English, math, science, STEM, any of the above.
Point of clarification, could we just have the administration define for them instructional time for students?
So that wouldn't count into our 990 hours, 180-day requirement. So passing time doesn't count. So when we calculate that in terms of officially for the state, that doesn't count as time on learning. Instructional time, because students are always changing, I'm thinking about the high school specifically, changing and moving to the other side of the building, we do anticipate that they'll need to get their phone out of the holder and have it out and maybe put it in their bag. We want them socializing with peers. We want them observing the world around them and not being transfixed on their phone for sure.
But you're talking about like in between classes. I'm talking about like going to the bathroom or going to the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's instructional time. That's what I just said. Not going to class. That's not instructional time. They have 5 minutes to go get a drink of water, to even go to the bathroom, or even, talk to their friend in the locker area. But yeah, sure, that's not instructional time. But leaving the classroom to go to the bathroom or go to anywhere else but your classroom is instructional time. That's not being on your phone.
Okay, so when a student is not where they're supposed to be, and they're using their cell phone, I would imagine that that's also a different type of infraction of not being where they're supposed to be, being tardy to class, cutting class, right?
Yeah, so we have, like, for instance, when the students go to the restroom, they log in with their ID number, or they can scan their iPad if there's a scanner there. And so on Infinite Campus, you'll be able to pull up exactly how many times the student traveled to the restroom. We can notice patterns and changes over time. And that's some data that the associate principals review, because certainly if you're just having the student in your class from the first time that day, you don't know they've already been out of the class 4 or 5 times before. Also, if a student asks to use the restroom, it's rare that a teacher would deny them that opportunity, but we do expect them to return in a timely fashion, for sure. And do I think a phone needs to be with them when they do that? No, I do not, because we do have staff members who sit outside of our restrooms, but that's an easy way to try to meet up with a friend, to send a message or plan for it that way too. So we do want them in class for sure.
other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I just wanted to add, I think, obviously you and my colleagues raised valuable points. What I want to just emphasize, and I had a concern about, are the out-of-school suspensions because of the severity of the infraction that the school administration, the school resource officer, and others deemed it that this person had to be removed and possibly leading to expulsion, or because we encourage in-house suspensions, and I don't want to water down discipline. I agree with the chairman, and if the teachers feel like they need tools in the classroom in terms of the cell phone policy, and we need to strengthen that because we had bell to bell anyways, I'll re-examine that. But is it because of a lack of personnel? I know Member Donovan and I were advocating for behavioral specialists, but if you have like an influx of all of a sudden a cluster of out-of-school suspensions and in-school suspensions because of the saturation of that, is it because of the severity of the out-of-school suspensions, or is it because we don't have enough personnel and we have to gauge case by case? Because I would rather have these kids be disciplined, even if it's like a retired police officer who knows how to handle problematic situations, because we're losing the discipline battle across the nation. You see it with the teenagers, and I don't like to cast aspersions because we have the vast majority of our kids are fantastic. They are the future. They're positive. They impress me. So I don't want anybody to say my statements that I'm casting aspersions to all teens. But there is a sizable component of teenagers that either flaunt juvenile crimes or they flaunt school infractions. But if you have retired police and you have more behavioral specialists, I think the home front, these kids will just be on the street. Who knows about the home front with the parents? It might be a vacation for them. Either they can have the parents withdraw, or if there's a truancy issue, they can go through the juvenile court system and have at least some accountability. But if we can do in-house, unless it's extreme cases, hire the person. If we approve school choice, we'll have the resources to maybe hire 1 or 2 people to aid with in-house suspensions, because I think as a whole body, holistic approach to reforming students, and students are capable of reform, and there should be restorative justice. But if you have incident after incident of defiance, then other students will emulate that. So I think, there's some valid points here. And I think if we proceed with school choice by analyzing residency enforcement policy and surveying the residents and getting the feedback very quickly, again, I think you need additional personnel and maybe even retired police to monitor these kids and have them somewhere in-house. Because I think it rewards them in their twisted mind that they're going to be told to leave out of school suspension. We don't know fully the home front, and it might be like a vacation. They're out in the streets and they're causing carnage and they're causing mishaps. So that's my 2 cents. It's a very valid questions raised, and it's something we're going to continue to work, because bell to bell and the cell phone policy is now from the state as a mandate. But I think we have to tinker it as well, as the chairman indicated. Thank you.
Member Keegan?
Do you think that possibly in your weekly report, you could send us the law on when you're allowed to give out-of-school suspensions, and what are the incidents, like what does the law say?
Yes. I'll send that for you. And the categories presented on this report are qualifying categories. And then to respond to Member Willett, are all the out-of-school suspension instances severe enough or involving an SRO or expellable offenses? No. There are some that are significant and concerning. Predominantly, they do not fall into that category, but they might be repeated behaviors. And if we were to have more staff on hand or other spaces with people dedicated to supervising students in school, I'm sure you would see a reduction in those areas as well. But seeing as, for instance, Methuen High School, we do have that, the students that are out for a valid reason.
Just a
So,
point.
through the chair, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
just to follow up through the chair to the acting superintendent, I appreciate that honesty, because a lot of our programs and services are valid, but because of reductions, right, we limit the outreach. So if we do school choice, and that's a leap of faith for me on an experimental basis, and we have X amount of dollars coming in to the system to save some jobs, I want part of that to have behavioral specialists and maybe even retired cops, right? And even maybe some security personnel, because I'm upset about what I'm witnessing at the high school, okay? I'm not casting criticism of anybody. I think some of the teachers, they feel like it's hopeless. Like the chairman said, you're talking about dress code violations and vaping, and just a total disregard for the handbook. So the way you have enforcement of the handbook, like we used to do in society with laws, okay, is that you add preventative counseling, encouragement, some forgiveness, but you also need to have some type of enforcement. And if that can be done, again, and I'll put everything in an email here, okay? I think we need to move in that direction, because the out of district suspensions, in my estimation, some of these kids are going to get into more trouble. I can't guarantee it, but I think they're going to get in more trouble if they're out of school. That is, you don't know the home front, you don't know who they're associating with the gangs or neighborhoods. They might commit property crimes. They become lazy and they become restless, right? Or they want money. They don't have jobs. Again, it goes into a mushroom effect. But some of these kids are redeemable, and they're essentially good kids. They just need proper guidance. They might not be getting in the home front. A teacher, counselor, a truancy officer, retired cop, veteran teacher. We all have to work together. Thank you.
And just to align too, column 4, which is behavioral incidents resulting in OSS, is the last 5, correct? Yeah, that number in the middle are students that were duplicated, right, in that?
I added that column because I believe you had asked earlier in the year, the students that fell in either the incidents not resulting and those resulting in OSS. I think we're trying to get to how many students total
Were involved.
had been written up in some way.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure everyone knows the numbers if they're looking at it.
Right, yeah.
It's not combining.
Yeah, so,
those two.
exactly, so the students listed in there, at least some of them had multiple offenses. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I just want that be pointed out because it's not being combined.
I think that Member Willett has a great idea. However, our budget doesn't allow us to hire people to do those things. So until we can get our budget up where it should be and straightened out, unfortunately, Mr. Willett, I love the ideas, but it's just not going to happen without the money. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Technology update. Any questions on technology? Member Soroyce.
So, first of all, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you to Director Lopez for this extensive update. I think it's fabulous. I have to commend her and her staff for what they do on a daily basis. Just jotting down some numbers in her update, 7,900 devices they control for our department, our school department, every single day. Pieces of support equipment, 19,141 pieces of support equipment. Software applications, 602 plus. It's just amazing what these people do day in and day out, and pretty much 24 hours a day. I just had a question, if it's okay if Director Lopez comes up to the podium, Chair. I just want to ask her a question or two. Thank you. I didn't see in your update how many buildings you support.
7,
7 buildings.
because we still support the central building.
So you,
That's it.
how, in what way do you support the central building?
The MALC is there, so we support the Methuen Adult Learning Center. So they have telephones, they have computers, and networking.
Okay, and that's all also controlled
And,
through you?
yeah.
Can
All
I
right, thank
also add, sorry, that they also support all of our students in out-of-district placements that have
Oh, right.
communication devices. I think that's important to note.
You'll have to add that into your
Yes.
next update. No, but I really just, I want to commend you and your department. I've seen you all in action. It's amazing what you do every day. Your teamwork is incredible. Your team gets along so well. They
They do.
help each other out. It's just amazing. Your department is no joke. It's a huge undertaking every day for your department. And to even think about an unnecessary disruption of any type of merger, I don't agree with at all. You have a well-oiled machine, you know what you're doing, your employees know what they're doing. The amount of devices and software and equipment that you deal with on a daily basis, and that, I mean, repairs alone on those things.
Right.
All the students that have an issue with a Chromebook or an iPad that you have to take, get them loaners, get them repaired. It's just an amazing undertaking, and I just want to commend you and your department. I think you do a fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
And you do it on the backside of this whole system.
It's my team.
Nobody sees what you do.
My team is fantastic.
Yeah, and
we
nobody
all love
sees what you do.
technology.
Yep, nope, I
And we are the
appreciate it.
back room.
You-
But that was the reason why I did the report, is because I think that everybody talks about us, but they don't know what goes on behind the curtain. And
It's
so I just
amazing.
wanted to bring it up to be more transparent.
And Vice Chair, if this is something that could be sent to the city council, just so they can see day in and day out what this department does, I would like to see that happen as well.
Sure.
Thank you, Director Lopez.
Bias.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Director Lopez, I,
You should just stay up there, yeah. It looks like there's a line.
yeah, and full disclosure, I do have a lot of questions, but, yeah, perhaps I'll split them in the first and second round.
Please.
But before I begin with my questions, I just want to give you a chance to see if you have any comments or anything on your report. I know most times people like to, point out some things or have additional comments, so I just want to give you a chance to do that before I ask any questions, if you have any.
Well, there was a lot to do when I first started in the department in 2023. And I haven't really been asked to do a report for the school committee, per se, so I've always done it for the superintendent and kept both superintendents abreast of everything that was going on and made decisions together. But I wanted to be able to give you something so that there's more transparency, you know what we're doing, you can ask questions, and I'm always available for a tour or just a conversation about things that we do, especially when it comes to safety and security, so that we're not, just broadcasting it.
Well, thank you. My first question is regarding your first section on security. When were the Verkada viewing systems installed?
So Verkada went from an app to a viewing station, and when they did that, we got the viewing stations, and then we installed them in 2025, so that the secretaries have one that they can see, and the principals have one that's for them.
Thank you. So, okay, and
They
so
also, the secretary ones were facing the incoming traffic, so that it was also kind of a deterrent. You're on camera.
okay. When did we apply for the Verkada / the CGS intercom system grants? Was this something recent, or since the report is since 2023? Just want to get a timeline.
The Verkada Phase 2 was applied for in June of 2025, and the CGS intercom system was just applied for in February.
Okay. So what is Verkada Phase 2? Like, what is the difference between Verkada Phase 1 and 2? And can you just give us a quick overview of costs that the Verkada system, with all of its products that we use, licensures, for example, how much does that cost on an annual basis, if you have that figure? And so what is Phase 2 and those costs relative to it?
Ian, did you want to say something?
Well, I just want you guys to be aware that you're going to start talking about safety and our deterrents, doors, video of and how our security system works, and I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Not in a public setting.
So
I understand you went through the report very thoroughly, and you have some questions, and they're all good questions, I'm sure. But some of them, or maybe a lot of them, might be better served to sit in an office with, Ms. Lopez or myself or whoever, and go through a lot, especially if it's dealing with security, and that Verkada one is definitely a security item that deals with the doors.
What about costs? Is that?
I believe the estimate was about $400,000
For Phase 2.
for Phase 2.
And what are we paying now for, like, licensures or that system?
That's paid for.
Yeah, that Phase 1 is done.
Is paid
It's
for.
done.
Yeah.
So there's no annual cost to that.
No, but the maintenance that I'm asking for there would be a cost to that. It's a
Okay.
health check yearly and maintenance on them.
Thank you. And the last question before I give it off to somebody else for now is, you have in your report about managed services for Verkada products. What does that, is that like a consultant or?
Yes.
So we have the product and we need to go outside to manage them?
So, no, the product is all installed and functioning right now. But if anything malfunctions, then there's some things that my team can do, but they don't have the expertise to do everything. And also, each piece of equipment, sometimes they rely on a battery. So that would require a health check, and they would come in and check every single device. Camera, sensors, alarms, all of it.
All right, thank you. I'll spin back around.
Okay.
Member Keegan?
One thing I didn't see on here, so I just wanted to ask, was I know last summer we used our CTE students to work on our machines for the incoming year. And I'm wondering, are you managing those students? Are you, like, because that's like a big deal, so I was surprised not to see it on here, that's something that your team does.
Yeah, I thought of it as nothing, so.
No,
Yes, and I just sent out the letters to the new 5 students that we picked for this summer. So we have them do a video interview and do their resume and cover letter, and then they submit it to us, and the whole team watches them, and then I send out letters to accept them. And then they confirm whether or not they can come. And then we have 5 that are coming this summer.
Okay.
Starting in July.
All right, so that is a program that your team is overseeing.
Yes.
I would love to see updates on that, because I think it's
Oh, sure.
important to highlight the fact that, we're also using students, and the students are getting some education, and you're responsible for that. So I think it's important to add to that, because it is something that you're doing.
And they
Great
had
for
they
the
had a
text,
tremendous
too,
they
because
had a
the
tremendous
text-
impact on our
Yes.
effectiveness. As-
And the text, like the mentoring that the texter do with the students, it's good for both of them.
Right, and it's just a nice program, and I was like, oh, it's not on here, and I know you're doing that, and I
Yes.
know that's extra work that you have to do, but it's also something really great for our students, so I just wanted to add that in and highlight
Yeah,
it.
I tend to be technical instead of the other fuzzy stuff.
Right, but it's something that, you know, it thins out what you have to do, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
you're going thinner because you're mentoring students. It's part of your job, right?
Right.
And so it's just added responsibility that you're doing. But on the other hand, it's also a benefit to the district too, right? So it's just something on there that I noticed was missing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I also just wanted to mention, thank you for adding in here about the auction amount that you received for the iPads. I'm glad that went through and that's all set. Thank you.
Member Willett, anything on your end? Member Baez, your
No,
second.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, Member Baez.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. I know the question about safety, but I'm going to ask a question, and whether or not it gets answered is on you guys. But I'm under the understanding that SROs don't have access to live feeds. Is that correct? To cameras?
I think, Mr. Baez, that we will have to, I think what we should be doing with that type of question is executive session.
Okay,
During
I'll move on.
public safety. If we want to invite I keep doing that tonight, Director Lopez to the meeting, we can do that with the police chief.
Okay, I'll move on. I noticed that we had some upgrades to Infinite Campus. Love to see those. Did those come at a cost, or were those done in-house with our team?
So the upgrades are, Infinite Campus is hosted. So they do the upgrade. We have to deal with the repercussions of being upgraded. So so it's just in-house resources, and that's it.
Okay.
No cost.
Nice. And so I saw something, and I am not an expert in any way in informational technology. I'm just a person that asks questions to the experts. But in terms of load balancing in the network, right? I am under the understanding that layer 1 in a network stack is usually physical cables and bits of information that are more on a physical layer, rather than like layer 4 or layer 7, which is application and transport, that actually handles what load balancing seeks to establish, which is a decision on where information is handled through. So like if we have 3 servers, load balancing is 2,000 requests go to one server, 2,000 to another, 2,000 to another, right? So I was just curious on what it meant that load balancing in layer 1, if load balancing usually happens in layer 4 and layer 7, and that's just me being curious.
I'm not the best at networking. That's why I have a network administrator, and he's fantastic. And he found that there was too much, on one server, and he segmented the traffic.
Nice.
On that server. And so I think it's still, it wasn't that he segmented it off because we didn't have other devices, but it was that. And I still think it's layer 1, but I could be incorrect.
Okay, I'll circle back and
I could bring
hopefully,
Yassine,
yeah.
and we could, really go deep, because Yassine can go deep.
Yeah, that's just the way that I do things.
Call them, they'll set up a tour and you can geek out all you want.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
We do it that's another thing we do with the CTE students. So Yassine gives them a tour, and we give them a tour of the MDF and everything, the
Nice.
server rooms.
Going to more, well, actually, now I'm thinking that this might not be a good question here, but you did have data security assessments.
Yes.
Were those reports shared to the administration and
Yes.
or the school committee?
I don't remember whether or not Brandy brought it to the school committee or not, but we do have the report, and I can provide it.
That would be great to all of us.
It was CISA the Homeland Security came on campus
Yeah,
and
I would just,
did
yeah.
the assessment.
yeah, we can do that in executive session,
Yeah,
so it's
we
handed
can't
back.
publicize that.
Okay, perfect. So just finishing off here, just two last points, one on the cost savings and one more on the operations side. So in the table with the hardware, right, we have the 19,000 pieces of hardware. But I added up all of the columns and I got 10,800 and something. And I do see that there's a column for analog phones and whatnot that has no numbers. Is there roughly 9,000, like, because we're missing like in the numbers, right? Around 9,000 pieces of hardware, and I was just wondering if what that's about.
I don't know, I'd have to look at the numbers deeper, but I can provide that more detail, if that's what you prefer.
Thank you.
I get most of them from MDMs, from managed device, what do you call it, dashboards. And so it gives me the numbers.
Yeah, I just thought it was
Out of
weird,
all
the large discrepancy, right? I would understand like a lower discrepancy because there's so many devices, so many students, so many things going on, even
There's
just in this
lots
room.
of phones, though, and
Yeah.
lots of intercom systems.
Mhm.
Each building has one or more intercom systems and things like that.
Yeah, but yes, I would circle back on that. Just I think it's important to know the number of pieces that we support, right? And to that point, it's the 880 desktops that are out of warranty. Out of 880 desktops, there's 880 out of warranty, and so that begs the question, right? Out of warranty means a little older in age. Do we have systems that's in Windows 10?
Very few.
Very few. Yeah, I'm sure you're aware.
Because we have an MDM, we
Yeah,
know that.
exactly.
But
Good.
we will plan to upgrade those, but it's like under 30.
Okay, good.
Maybe 15. And they may not be in circulation either.
Okay.
But we do have a backlog. We keep a backlog of ones that we've repaired. And so we have those on the shelf to deploy if we need to.
Thank you. My last point regarding the savings. So I see here with the two grants that we got for the assessments, those were valued minimum 54,000 and maximum 80,000, depending on the market evaluation of one of those grants in the last 3 years. Are those the only two grants that we've received so far in terms of IT?
Yeah, that we received, yes.
Okay, nice. So to that end, you also mentioned E-rates, which is the educational discounts that we receive from the federal government, the FCC, and the universal whatever. But I pulled this definition from DESE about E-rates. E-rates is a federal program that provides discounts on technology for schools and libraries. It is administered by the Universal Service Administration Company under the oversight of the Federal Communications Commission. Schools and libraries are eligible for discounts in two categories. Category 1, services that support connectivity to the building, and Category 2, services that support connectivity within the building. Discounts range from 20 to 85%. Almost all Massachusetts public schools qualify for at least a 40% discount based on their lunch program eligibility and urban/rural status. And so I was looking for guidance on E-rates in terms of the configuration of staffing. And so according to DESE, it's not about the configuration of staffing or a shared staffing between governmental unity, but rather a status of being a school or a library. Would our E-rates tied to the configuration of staffing in terms of, let's say, for example, an IT department?
I'm not sure, what do you mean by staffing? So E-rate it's USAC, and it's provided only to schools and libraries
Right.
for their networking.
No.
And because we're at the category that we're at, we actually get the highest available discount. But as I believe you are not supposed to use that equipment in a municipality. So it's not like we could purchase it using E-rate and then put it in the city building.
I understand that. My question is, does the school, for school equipment and services, lose its E-rates simply if it shares staff with a municipality? Let's say that.
I don't think it has anything to do with staff.
Okay, that's all I want. That's what I want.
It's the internet connectivity and then the network equipment.
Right. So if the equipment is purchased for the school based on the status of being a school, the configuration of staffing does not implicate the E-rates that we receive.
No.
Okay. Thank you. And one last point about your staff. Great. I just had a question based on the budget binder. The last budget binder that we received had on May 7th, had the operations manager at $0. And then in subsequent memorandums from May 27th and June 3rd, I believe, I didn't remember seeing anything about an operations manager. So if I could just get clarification that position still exists and it's not zeroed out.
The manager position exists.
Yeah.
The system administrator position does not exist.
Because that was the position that was zeroed out.
It was just a transposing of the two numbers, but it's the right amount. It's just the name was wrong, the title.
And the Apple technician specialist?
He just got his certification.
Okay.
So, and that hadn't happened as of the packet.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Am I good?
I'll send an email next time.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I know it's third round, but do you know offhand, no names included, what the certification is and the education background for each of your employees?
Well, we have I did do the math one time. We have 101 years of educational technology. So we've all worked in education in one degree or another. So understanding the school system and teachers and working with teachers and all of that.
Thank you very much.
Member Byers just reminded me I could send an email too, but that's what I was saying. But you know what? I do have one thing I do want to say now, okay? Because he commented. I will say, since Ed's departure, things have continued to run smoothly.
Thank you.
And I know you came from Phillips, so.
Yes.
But if those of you who do not remember Ed Lucier, and I kind of say it like, rest in peace, but he's still here with us in life. He was tagged to potentially run the city's version.
Yes.
So I know we made some comments tonight about the city side, but a lot of what Ed did was get Methuen in a spot citywide. I want to give perks, and that was because of how strong the school department was compared to the city side. City was outsourcing everything to this one supplier. Ed came in, built what it was, and is the reason why the city is where it is today. So it would be negligent of me if I don't call that out right now, that the school department is what put the city where it is. Thank you for keeping the school department where it was.
Thank you. And where we want to save money.
Yeah.
If there's savings, we're happy to save.
No, I appreciate that. But I have
I
to
just don't
call
want
it
people
out
to think
that
we're just like,
the school department is the reason why the city is where it is today, based
Thank
off
you.
of the leadership. So thank you.
thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Ken, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I have my hand raised this time, but it's okay.
I see it there in the corner now. It's very small. I'm not going to lie. It's a very small
tough,
hand.
But yeah, it is tough. I just wanted to make a comment on a generalized basis and this could be the acting superintendent, this could be the ID department, this could be contingent upon our approval of the website. It's going to be upgraded. I had a couple of individuals approach me, and I also had the same mindset in terms of our cultural audit of having a portal for the cultural audit and recommendations from that cultural audit as best we can, and having follow-up action items on the recommendations. And I'm hoping that during the summer, when they have a recess, that like the IT department is working with the website, is working in conjunction with the acting superintendent, because it was a gentleman, and I also had the same mindset too, so we were on the same page of taking the cultural audit, okay? And the city website, I think to me is far superior to the school department website, and that's why we're gonna hopefully approve the contract to upgrade the website for more transparency. But my recommendation is to have that mechanism and really focus from the administrators and the staff to upgrade the cultural survey and the action items. And sometime during the fall, even if we outsource it to one of the policy think tanks or one of the public universities, to, because I was, again, not happy with the company that did the audit. Absolutely outraged by their behavior. But I think we need to do a second round of the audit to gauge the metrics if we've had improvements. Now, my mindset, I think we have made improvements, but I also want to gauge our stakeholders. So again, I appreciate the IT director and her staff. The consolidation of the IT department was a philosophical debate that would encourage savings in my book. It was never an indication of my criticism or judgment of the IT department. Okay, I think they've worked wonders. I think the fact that they're applying for grants is fantastic. And again, I encourage them to do that. If they need someone in that office or even a part-time person that's really specializes in the high-tech grants at the federal and state and nonprofit venues, I would encourage that. Grants are the future when you're talking about limited governmental resources. So I applaud that, but that would be my recommendation as we're upgrading the website to ensure greater transparency equivalent to what the city conducts. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lopez.
Appreciate it.
All right, on to old business and pending matters. To the Assistant Superintendent, physical restraint policy, second read, all yours. Do you have any?
No changes. This is just for you guys to do second read and approval.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Member Keegan, seconded by Member Soroyce. Discussion. Yep.
Yeah, no discussion on the content. I think that we've already went over that this is mostly procedural, that changes that come from DESI. I would just say that just for aesthetics purposes, I'm gonna motion to change the title from School Committee Policy to Methuen Public Schools Physical Restraint Policy, if that's okay.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
The motion is as follows. Strike title School Committee Policy and insert in its place Methuen Public Schools Physical Restraint Policy.
Any discussion on the amendment? I agree. Roll call, please. When you have a second, Member Soares. I see you still writing.
Vice Chair DeZoglia.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi. Member Baez.
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Member McCarthy Soroyce, yes. Member Willett.
Yes.
Mayor Borgard. Unanimous.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the amended version?
So moved.
Second.
Member Keegan seconded, Diaz motioned. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice Chair DeZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi? Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member McCarthy Royce, yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Member Mayor Beauregard, not present. Unanimous.
Great. On to finance and operations.
Excuse me, Chair. We need a motion and a second to go past 9 o'clock.
Thank you for calling it out. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion from Member Keegan, seconded by Member Baez. Roll call, if there's no discussion. I'm trying to delay this. I could pause for the bathroom if we need to.
All righty, let's see.
We are grateful for you, Member Royce.
Thank you.
The
Okay.
years of experience behind that pen.
Member Keegan did the motion, Member Baez second. Okay. We have Vice Chair DeZoglio.
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi, Member Baez,
Yes.
Member Keegan.
Yes.
Member McCarthy Royce, yes. Member Willett,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right. Thank you for calling that out, Member Keegan. Expenditure report. Any questions? Just one. We're looking good. We're in the black.
We are in the black. I will let you know that doing my best to leave as much possible so that we can move those funds or transfer the expense so the funds remain in circuit breaker for use next year.
Yep.
We're in the process of trying to close out all our purchase orders by the end of the month. We cannot spend FY '26 funds on FY '27. So our way around it is leaving those funds in the special ed revolving account so that, we can use them next year. Also do some transfers into grants that carry over that we can use as well next year. So
When will
that's
that-
my focus right now.
When will we have a final number or impact?
Well, there'll be, it's technically a payroll that for July 29th and 30th, or the end of July. That'll probably be posted first week of July.
Okay. And by then, we should know the state number too.
Yeah.
I know it's.
Once we have the state number, we're gonna have to have, whether it be a special meeting or not, just to vote on the final
Budget.
the final breakdown of the budget.
With the mayor's numbers that happened on Monday, is there a new total already?
No, what happens is with that, I'm able to, the number's still the same, 14. However, I backed out approximately $1 million out of tuitions,
Yep.
which freed up $1 million for salaries.
Okay.
So the number's still the same, it's just we're counting on that $1 million that will be in circuit breaker
Understood.
to use for tuitions.
And we're still projected to, if with the state comes back, with that 18 number should be met,
Yeah.
give or take, more.
I don't know what the state number's gonna be. The city council voted on 1 million. I believe his intent is to go
Another
to
million.
them again in January or whatever for the second half of that million. So he did ask me to back out the 2 million. So I'm a little leery now that they only approved 1 million.
Yep.
So that's why I'm trying to save every penny I can to put into circuit breaker, so should that other million not come through, that we're not caught.
Yep.
But I'm hoping, if the state comes through with at least what they did last year, we'll be at that 18, no problem.
Great. Any other questions? All right. We'll move on to revolving funds report. Any questions? Member Baez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you, once again. I was just wondering, on the lost books / Chromebooks, there's $80,000 in that account. I was just wondering, is there a way or plans to spend that money in some capacity? It just seems like.
Yes, a large portion of that was the auctioning of Chromebooks, iPads, which you guys voted on last time, but we did that last year, and that brought in approximately the same amount. So that's a large portion of that. We do use, the vast majority of that money goes into a line to replace chargers, blocks, devices, those kinds of things. So that will get spent down, yes.
Why are the facility rental expenditures
Yeah.
greater than the revenue?
Because we're very tight right now in facility rentals. We did have some larger items that we need to do, clocks, or scoreboards, I should say, at the CGS and the Marsh, which was about $16,000. The auditorium at the Timony had some unsafe situations within the lighting booth, where we needed to replace equipment, have it rewired, et cetera. That was, again, probably about a $9,000 fix for the Timony. And we replaced, I believe it's the lighting board at the Marsh, which was antiquated and, quite frankly, too confusing. Whenever they built the Marsh, they bought the best, and it was so good that nobody knew how to use it. And at this point, it's not only antiquated, but really confusing. So we bought one that's more appropriate for a K-8 grammar school, and that has been installed and staff trained. So we didn't plan on all those, so it cut into our money a little bit, but we will break even.
Thank you for the details.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
Member Willett
Mr.
does.
Chairman,
Oh, thank you for paying attention to that small hand.
I know it's tough. Through the chair to Ian, you and I have had multiple conversations about the infrastructure in the gym, the facilities related to athletics and recreation and outside leagues. Obviously, if we feel a need to really examine the fees and increase them based on your expertise and experience and feedback maybe from the stakeholders as to, it wouldn't be diverted, obviously we can't anyways, but like in terms of bleachers, lighting, anything that's unsafe, that you would have like a rapid fund, okay? And I'm worried about us really depleting it over time. And I think people will partially compensate or even increase this fund because they know it's going to be invested wisely in the schools to upgrade them. And that's part of our process anyways with the capital plan. So I don't know what you would have on terms of feedback, but that would be my recommendation.
I will go over those, the prices and everything with the staff member who oversees the rentals, and I'll prepare some kind of a proposal for correcting pricing if it needs to be, and have it come before you sometime during the summer or early September.
And again, I appreciate all you do. You know, you've been such a valuable person to the school system for very difficult times. And my mindset is this, is that let's say a neighboring community like Haverhill has lower fees, okay? My mindset is this, if we have the necessity of upgrading equipment and infrastructure that was neglected for decades, like our physical plants, and we're doing a collective effort of the city working in conjunction with the school department, I think is only fair to modestly increase the fees. And I agree with the chair on this, is that we really have to examine this. And if we fast track it, I will support it. If it's enough to really replenish that fund without really impacting the taxpayers who have to deal with, you know, cost of inflation and other factors in life. So that would be it. I think we really need to shore this up because you've done such a fantastic job in a rapid gun approach. of addressing these issues. And I think if there's safety issues and there's immediate turnaround, I think we need to do that. Thank you.
I do want to point out for Mr. Willett that we were able to get a contractor to come in and take down a lot of our dead trees, dead branches in the parking lot. And we are currently purchasing the parking lot stickers for next year so that we have them on site. So we did use some of those funds, Mr. Willett.
I got to tell you, Ian, and I'm not always a Mr. Complimentary person. Every single time I've reached out to you by text, by phone, at the night, on the weekends, you've always responded back to me, and you've always been a rapid gun approach to resolve issues within our district. So I just want to say that publicly for the record.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Moving on to grants report. Member Keegan.
This is just a question about what's going on. With the Open SIAD Tenny Timony CGS, we start with 45,000, 45,000, and then they just disappear. So I'm just wondering why those fields aren't populated with anything.
We were recently awarded those grants, so we have yet to spend any of the funds or take in the funds from the organization, but that would be, those are dedicated to the training of our teachers for next full school year, and also the purchase of durable equipment for the classrooms. So we'll be looking to initiate those purchases soon. That was similar to the cycle that we had with the Marsh last school year.
Okay, so we still have 45,000 remaining,
Right.
the balance
Yes.
remaining.
Yep. That should read as such.
And those grants will come to us to accept?
They did.
Oh,
You
they did,
approved
okay.
them. Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Your small hand's not up.
I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm paying
You
attention
want me
to it
put
now.
You want me to put it up?
Oh, it's good. It's good. Go ahead.
Thank you. I have one last question that just came to my head because I attend the CPAC when I can, is that we broached the topic of disability equipment for playgrounds for our students.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if Ian has to approach legal counsel. Personally, I think we can, but I would like to see in terms of playground equipment, but also upgrades and helping to accommodate a disabled population with playground upgrades. And that would be paid for partially if we increase the fees for athletics. That would be something that if we're going to do it for recreational, because for instance, I'll give you an example. A parent is taking a kid into a basketball game. The other parent is watching the disabled child who wants to go play outside. Okay? They might want to enjoy the disabled equipment. Okay? So that solves the issue. And I think some of the parents, because we have a significant, profoundly disabled population, that you have someone in the household that's designated as that, but the other members might be participating in sports that they pay for those fees. So I just want to see if we can get a legal advisory. I think we can. And that would be more reinforcement is that, and I know Councilor DiZoglio was talking about the hoops and the playground equipment and the infrastructure for the kids. What happened was after COVID, right, they were told to be indoors, and it was for months, and it was wrong. These kids weren't allowed to play. I think we need to make a commitment, the city of Methuen, to encourage these kids to be outdoors. And if we have to examine the infrastructure, that's a great thing we should be doing. And if it involves an upgrade to the fees, I don't think anybody would be adverse to it because a lot of these families would benefit from it who send their kids into the gym to play basketball. That's it. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, on to student accounts. Any questions? The only question, I saw that the high school at least was, I think April was the last time it was updated. This is,
I might have printed out the wrong one.
that's fine.
Actually, no, April. They all should be April.
They should be all.
Yeah, because we don't get the bank statements until like the first week of the following month.
Okay.
So literally, we just got we just got May's, and this was already, so we're like a month behind.
So I'm assuming 2026 and 2027's been run down at that point, right? Because I'm looking here and there's $25,000 in the class of 2026 account.
25,000?
Yeah,
What school were you?
high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the prom checks, anything that hit end of May or is hitting right now in June isn't shown here, because they were collecting money for end of the year stuff.
And they probably have already paid it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the class of 2026, does that money go to the kindergarten class now?
No.
Leftovers, or is that
No,
the
class
senior
of
gift?
2026 has to decide what usually what they do is they do help the junior class with a down payment for their prom, and often they'll do some kind of a class gift. That's typically what they do, but the class gets to decide class and class officers.
Because one of the things that I saw recently was one of the schools, I want to say it was Hopkinton, left the senior gift as a new playground. Leftover money was a new playground for one of the schools. Something to think about, to put on the Christmas list to the next junior class, maybe. Just something as an idea, just throwing that out there. But that was something they gave to the next generation of students coming in, was a new playground. So something to think about. And if Member Willette, is that something you're piggybacking, or do you have something else?
I just wanted to add one more suggestion, because I've had a conversation with the mayor, and the vocational school would work in partnership with us. If the flower bed in front of the high school, I think, needs to be upgraded. And I think if it's anyone that wants to donate to that, or some reasonable businesses, because we have a policy on it, right? We can sponsor like beautification in front of the schools, in terms of like, just not really outrageous foliage, but just like flower beds. But I know, like, in terms of that flower bed in front of the high school, I think it just needs to be taken care of during the summer, and that might be something that the vocational kids might want to work on in the fall. So I just want to suggest that. Thank you.
Anything else on student activity accounts? Member Bias.
Yes. So I'm sure there's just something not reflecting that will be spent or shown in the next one. But the Tenny and the Marsh, in total, seem to have way more than the other grammars, CGS and Timony. Is there a particular reason for that?
Historically, some schools do a really good job of fundraising better. There's no magic potion to that.
Gotcha.
Seems like the CGS is always like very streamlined, just the way it's always been. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you for that context. I didn't.
Anything else? All right, moving on to food services report. Any questions?
Not a question, I just wanted to make a comment. If you could pass on, Dr. Golubsky, my thanks to Mr. Fradi and Ms. Noun. It's amazing what they've done this year for the schools, and they're continuing to doing this summer and into next year. They're just doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate everything they've done for the students. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, moving on to warrants. Any question about the warrants of May 7th, May 22nd, or June 1st? Okay, moving on. Contracts, awards, website contract approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the website contract?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Member Soroy, seconded by Member Keegan. Any questions? Member Baez.
Thank you. So I've always been a proponent of digital infrastructure and improving our digital infrastructure, digital literacy, and everything that comes with that. I think that last meeting, we went into a contract with the same vendor for social media and PR services. And I believe that this contract also has some proponents of like social media work. Maybe I'm incorrect on that, but either way, I think that for me, seeing how much this contract is in totality around 44,000, knowing that for me the priority has been the social media aspect of our district and making sure that we have a presence to be able to tell truths coming straight from an official site, making sure that we're highlighting the good parts of our district and giving a platform for our students to be highlighted in the community. But we're also in the process of structural reforms. And these reforms are, to me, just as important as digital infrastructure. So, I mean, I think with this money for a website redesign that could be done in the future, it could be used for example, a consultant for redistricting, right? I think that we've taken an interest from a committee to commit to these reforms and look at them in their totality and thoroughly, and not just wait until budget season comes up. And so, in any other year, I would be all for this, but I can't support this contract where we already have contracted with this provider in terms of PR for social media services and use and getting that started. It's a great first start, but I think that we, with almost roughly $50,000, that might be able, because I don't know what the market looks like, to cover, for example, a consultant to come in and see feasibilities. I also believe that we went to a meeting with the CTE coordinators where they gave us strong proposals, and one of those and recommendations, and one of those themes is AI. We need AI policy, AI models, and so I'm curious if we could work with our CTEs to kind of see what they can do or propose. Our in-house staff, which are great, and so that's where I'm at right now, but always open to other perspectives. Thank you.
Before any other questions,
Yeah, can I just tell you where this came from? We've been kicking this around because we know transparency, communication, especially the digital world, having a Facebook presence, an Instagram presence, all that stuff was in Dr. Kwong's goals. It was in the survey. It was everywhere. We originally had written up an RFQ, or an RFP, actually, that was a PR person to help with the verbiage, to train us, to do professional development on, how to interact. What do you say? What don't you say? Refine some of the skills that people have, our administrators have, our schools have. So we wanted that PR piece, and we also needed not only the content for social media, but we needed the technology to work with our website, et cetera. So originally we had one large RFP, which included PR as well as website design and the technology and all that other stuff. And when I was looking at it, most companies either do websites or PR. very few companies actually do both. And I thought it gave, believe it or not, I thought it gave this person an unfair advantage if we did it as one RFP. Because he's probably the only one in the area who could actually do both. So I made them go out to two. And I say you do one for the content, the PR, the crisis management, the content to put on Facebook, et cetera. And then you do another one on building the website and the technology side of it. To me, it didn't have to be the same person. So we went out to two. Well, we already voted on the PR guy, and he's reputable, and he's been around the valley for a while, and he's really good at that. I was unaware that he also did this side until we went out for it. So anyways, we went out, and the RFP, they respond with what they can do. And we had a team evaluate, just like you did for superintendent search. You know, you don't open the prices till the end. So we had a team go through all, and we had quite a few number of companies submit for, do you know how many? Yeah, we had 10 plus companies submit for the website side. And it was really narrowed down to about 3 that we thought could have done it. And turns out this guy would work seamlessly since he's already doing the content for the technology. And he happened to be, we opened up 2 of the prices once we were happy with 2 of them, and he was also the lowest price. So it would be seamless to have him doing our content as well as building our website. And if you notice, building the website is $30,000, and it's only $2,800 a year moving forward. I strongly recommend, if you want transparency, communication, somebody who's going to help us with those things, I strongly recommend you move forward with this. Again, I don't have a vote, but that's just my recommendation.
Any other questions?
If I could just add, if that's okay. I think one of the aspects that I'm excited about for this too is not only do we have the assistance of creating that single official MPS voice through different channels, but the idea is it'll also in one post filter directly onto the website. So it's not having mixed messages or different messages, different places, but in one action, it goes to many different places depending on when people get their news or information. And similarly, when the principals make their newsletters, they're duplicating efforts. They're all talking about the same thing. Sometimes I send out blurbs for them to share. Then they'll have to put on social media, all those pieces. That will feed, the newsletters will be no more. It'll pull right from all these social media sources and other sources we have to create the updates for the schools. So I'm really excited about streamlining that. We have a lot of great information in this district and things that we're doing, and it's hard to find on the website. Sometimes I have trouble, and so if I'm having trouble, so is everybody else. So I look forward to that. In terms of the AI, I did want to comment that we have contracted with the DESE-approved provider for professional development throughout all next school year to have one major touch point with the entire district and then different touch points with different pockets of individuals based on their role. Part of that is a summer workshop for the leaders in which he will assist us in crafting consistencies and approaches throughout the district for AI and can help us start with our framework and policy to then put forward to the policy subcommittee. And I know Nancy has been a big proponent of that too. And again, most of the themes that were discussed tonight came up in the commissioner's call today. Proficiency or an awareness, demonstrated awareness and knowledge of digital literacy and AI is recommended as part of the new grad requirements. So yeah, there's a lot to that in terms of developing what a policy would look like. I think a lot of people think about ways to limit, but it's also ways to support and incorporate the use of while understanding. And so it's an exciting time as we're kind of living through this period where it's growing. And so that's really important that our students and staff have an awareness of that. So I feel comfortable with that aspect.
Thank you.
One more, I'm really sorry. Ms. Lopez just let me know that our current website, is it a hosting fee, is what we call it?
It's, yeah,
It-
the hosting and all of that, the 2,800 that the new company is saying they'll charge us yearly, it's 10,500 currently with our current website. So it's also more cost effective.
Press that button, Nancy. There you go.
Director Lopez, thank you for that. Could just for that people at home could, I don't know if they were able to hear you, if you could just repeat that.
Yes, it's over $10,000 a year right now for the current website as is, without any social media. And so in order for Guilfoyle to incorporate the social media and do all of the work, also the updating of the website, they require it to be their website. They're hosting it because they don't want to work on somebody else's hosted website, which is understandable. So we would be getting the content, and then we would have to upload it. So we don't have that resource either. So there's a cost there, and then there's the cost of 10,000. It was 10,800. Is that what they said, Ian? Was this year that I brought them down to like 9,999?
Used to be just under 10, now it's just over 10.
Yeah.
So it's about $11,000 a year now.
On our regular website
On
as
the
is.
website we have now.
Thank you for the context.
I'll just say, though, in the last 6 years, it's a lot better than it was. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be at the end of this. If I have no other questions, let's move to the question. Can you take roll, Member Soroyce, on approving this contract?
Vice Chair DeZoglio?
Yes.
Donovan Grassi. Member Baez?
No.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member McCarthy Soroy says yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no, passes.
Thank you, guys. All right, moving on to the iPad lease. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Member Baez, motion, second from Member Keegan. Any questions? Seeing none, motion carried by
I know what you
Member
want.
Baez. Member Keegan, second. Roll call for approval.
Vice Chair DeZoglio?
Yes.
Member Donovan Grassi? Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Soroy yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, moving on to the Chromebook lease. May I have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Member Baez,
Second.
seconded by Keegan. Questions? Seeing none?
Vice Chair DeZoglio?
Yes.
Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
Member McCarthy Soroy says a yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. All right, next is the motion and a second to approve the Marsh window replacement.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Member Keegan. Any questions? I'll pass it
Let me
right to
tell you
Mr.
exactly
Breslin.
what that is, because it's a little misleading. Some of the window sills at the Marsh when they were originally built, were made with bricks laying on their side. Water is starting to seep in behind those bricks and into the mortar, et cetera. So we did go out for request for quote. We found 10 that need to be, those bricks to be removed and replaced with bluestone, a solid piece of stone, and made watertight. So we did go for an RFQ for 10 bays. Each bay has 5 windows. So for 10 bays, for essentially 50 windows, this is the price. We did get, I think, 7 or 8 quotes, and this was the the lowest bidder, and they can start right away. So I'm hoping to get the PO cut in FY '26 so that it doesn't affect FY '27.
I just wanted to ask, so this will solve the problem for all the windows that are having an issue? Or this is a partial?
This is a partial. We've already done some in spots. These are the ones that are really leaking and need to be addressed right away. I believe there may be about another 8 that have to be done, but I didn't have enough money for 18. You're welcome.
I have a question if no one else. So all the buildings look the same pretty much, like the Marsh and the Timony. Actually, I'll say the Marsh and the Timony look very similar. Are we going to have any problems like this at the Timony?
I'd have to go look. We have replaced all but 2 window sills in the back of the Timony on the lower school side.
Okay.
So there were issues. I don't know if the 2 are done. I told them to do them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've actually been completed yet. So the back, I don't think there's a lot of them on the front.
Okay.
So I think the Timony's in a good spot. The Tenny did have a similar thing, but they don't have window sills like that.
Not like that, that's
But
why
they
I
were-
retracted.
At the Tenny, water was seeping into the walls and leaking into the classrooms, right through the brick.
Yeah, I remember,
So if it was, wind-driven rain, it would, so we did just have a company come out and seal that whole side of the building where that leakage was happening. So I haven't heard of any leaks since, so hopefully that at least solved the problem for now.
And from an aesthetic look, is it going to look weird, this new stone with
No.
other windows with brick?
You won't even notice.
Okay.
No.
All right, perfect. Any other questions? If
Mr.
not-
Chairman,
Yeah.
but I had to transfer to my computer.
Okay.
I don't have that mechanism of raising the hand. I just had a quick question to Ian. I think we were very successful of getting the Green Works grant. And I was advocating for that the last few years. The Mass Save program, when we're dealing with improvements of energy efficiency in our schools, windows, insulation, things of that nature, does Mass Save, because people are paying into that, does that benefit our schools at all?
And I'm not sure specifically on windows. I mean, I can look into that. We did just get a really substantial grant for the Timony to update our heating, change all our heating from fossil fuel over to electric heat pumps. I believe that was involved Mass Save as well. But I will check on actual windows.
Yeah, because the thing about it, I mean, it's a very controversial program. And people are obviously and justifiably upset about their fees. But I think even if they reduce the fees, I think money from that fund should go to large-scale physical plants like schools to help the local taxpayers who would have to pay out of pocket for these improvements, maybe even through overrides. So I think if the windows something that we could look into, that we derive savings through that by going through the Mass Save program. It's just food for thought. Even if we had to do the labor and some of the background material like the bricks, but I think if the windows themselves, and we really looked at every single school and Mass Save, accomplished that, I mean, that would be transforming to our energy bills. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Vote, please. Roll call.
Vice Chair DeZoglio.
Yes.
Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Sorice, yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, moving on to business from the committee. Other business from the committee to discuss, I believe we have on the docket, releasing Ditson Place to the city of Methuen. Member Keegan? Is there a motion? Actually, let's do this first. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Member Soroyce, seconded by Member Keegan. Member Keegan, I'll pass it to you for discussion.
Sure. So, last year, it was supposed to come up to a vote for 3 buildings to be released to the city. It got put on the agenda incorrectly, so we were only allowed to vote for 2 of them. And both of those buildings were released to the city. This is the 3rd building that we are not using. The city is using it. The city is not paying anything towards the upkeep of this building. The building is falling apart, and we just had to pay $34,000 to replace the boiler. We approved that last meeting out of our funds. This is just draining our funds that we could be paying for a teacher, paying for, discipline people. Like, it's just draining our money. And so it was the recommendation from the budget subcommittee as well as the building subcommittee last year to release this building to the city. And so we need to vote on it one way or the other. So, so that's why it's here. And that's it.
Any questions? I do want to ask the opinion of the superintendent.
I think that it's difficult as a school department to sometimes, can't try and think of a different term, but serve as landlord for the building, especially when there's a number of needs that arise that need addressing right away. And if we have limited custodial and facilities maintenance staff as it is, it's sometimes hard to prioritize one over the other. I think that we're in a good place in terms of the building being used for its intended purpose of supporting youth and education in different ways. But I think Ian might be able to speak to some of those pieces as well in terms of maintenance and the demands that sometimes pull our attention away from our K through 12 education.
I agree with the city taking it over. I believe there was a big push of the city, not just the school department, for the youth program. We don't have the staff to go running over every time they're cold. They need to walk shoveled. It's taxing, not just the dollars, but we need somebody to do this. So we'll find somebody to go do it. So I think it's time for us to turn it over. Hopefully with the understanding that adult ed, or maybe we pay a certain amount to the city to allow adult ed to remain there. But other than that, I think it's time.
Well, the only comment I'll make is on what you just said, letting adult ed. We've let DPW and Parks and Rec and so many other departments sit there rent-free, if I recall. So I don't see it being a problem. But again, I'm not the mayor, and the mayor's not here. And also, I think another member here is, I think we should have the full body here for this type of vote, personally. Again, janitorial staff, that's going to be on the city to pick up on. Grounds crew, city to pick up on. They all sit there anyways, but I think we need to look at the logistics before we vote it out, because tomorrow the mayor would be like, all right, fine. Well, you're all kicked out, and we have no adult learning center anymore. So I think logistically we would need to talk it through. Member Baez.
I share your sentiment, Chair. I will also add that I'm not sure of the full context of city departments being there if the deed of the property is for supporting the youth / educational purposes, right? That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Also, if we can find a way to make some reforms in that way that the city does pick up some of those things, and we could keep this building, and in the future with the renovations that are being made, it could be a great spot that we have of future possibilities with. Either way, I do believe that tabling this until we have a full committee is the right way to go, just for purposes of all voices being heard on the committee, especially on a decision this, quite frankly, for some may be easy, but for others it could be a big decision.
And I just want to make sure I'm accurate in my statements. There are city employees sitting in that building daily. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not.
Right, I just want to
Advocating.
also reiterate something that Ann said, that DPW is in the building and our custodians have to go over and shovel the walk.
I make a motion to table.
Second.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Before that motion, the table is,
I haven't recognized it yet, Ken.
yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to add my contribution before the motion to table, which I'll support until we get a full report. Obviously, the logistics have to be answered. The Pleasant Valley School, is that completely empty of documents?
It's not the Pleasant Valley we're talking about, it's distant.
No, excuse me.
Sorry.
That used to be one of our properties. Is that all done now? Was that because we had still equipment and documents and other items in the central school and really essentially don't use that anymore, except for adult learning. So that would have to be cleaned up. But the Pleasant Valley School posted our documents. Has that been cleaned up, or does that have to be transferred?
There are no documents there that the school department, we moved out everything that we had there as far as documents. There is storage there that belongs to, I believe, the Historical Society.
Yeah.
That the previous mayor or the city had them put their stuff in there at some point. So that's the only stuff inside the building that would have to be, saved or moved appropriately. There is a garage out back that we use to store our lawnmowers, snow blowers, weed whackers, when they're not in season. I met with my staff, was it yesterday or the day before? And we're coming up with alternate plans on where to put that equipment. Some of it being at the CGS, some of it possibly at the Marsh. So we are working on getting our equipment out of there so that when the time comes, we're not in the way.
And I appreciate it, Ian. I also want to know in great detail if we decide to relocate that adult learning center, and it's a fantastic program, and I apologize I couldn't be there to the graduation ceremony. But if we relocate them, A, do we have the capacity within our other system, right? And B, would be compromising any services to this group, or would it be actually enhancing the services because it would be one of our grammar schools? That's a big factor for me. And then I have some concluding remarks.
I think logistically you would have to figure that out.
I don't think that we have gone through the planning for what that would look like in our grammar schools, but I know just in Ditson Place, as it is with the youth center in the same building, a lot of work was done to ensure the separation between the adults and the students, different entrances and exits, making sure accessibility was there for both. That was a real trick of it. And because our adult programs are certainly not full day, there's courses in the morning and there's hybrid courses and course online, there'll be people coming and going. So I don't know that it's ideal for them to be in a grammar school building, but it's not impossible if, there was some planning and work there, but that would take some time, I think.
Like a consultant coming in telling you where all the space is, right?
Yeah, I don't want to keep the program in the lurch. And I also realize we have constraints within our system, and safety of the students is paramount. So if you're commingling adults at times and children, right, that also is a factor. I think in terms of Member Keegan, I've been on record supporting a surplus, okay? and diverting that money to schools for capital improvements or aiding back to our schools, which never happened before. We would declare a building surplus and it would just revert back to the general fund of the city. I was adamant that I would not vote for any surplus unless that provision was approved by the city council. And I think they accepted doing 100% the Pleasant Valley and the Courier based on my recent knowledge. In my olive branch is this to the city is that I'm willing to declare it surplus, okay, if they help Ian move the items, anything remaining in that building, okay, and this it would not be declared surplus, and then 100% someday would revert back to us, because then the city might want to do is encourage nonprofits to go into that facility, and then they would garner money that would revert back to the city. It's a good location downtown. It's still a really good infrastructure. Okay. I don't think we should be in the business of monitoring to a youth center or other things that might go into that, because I was approached by other people. And I think there has to be oversight by maybe the creation of a youth center commission, and the mayor has appointments, and the school committee and the city council, and then there's legal advice, and then enforcement of codes and ordinances. The neighbors too, like if a neighbor complains, they might go to a school committee member, and then I don't have jurisdiction over that. It's our building, but I'm going to be calling the cops. I think if there's any problems, the thing that we did for a policy, what we agreed to, was at any time they could change the ordinance to make sure that the youth center was in compliance, and that the youth center has a very stringent lease. So I don't see that the cost savings are there to transfer the facility and declare surplus. We have to address the logistical questions, have a full report, have a good discussion, like the chair said, and then I ultimately I'll weigh the pros and cons. Right now, I'm leaning towards voting for the surplus declaration, because I think in terms of cost savings, I'm very close on school choice, and I'm very close on the surplus of this building, because it's costing us on multiple fronts. Now, we're working in partnership with our city, but the municipal chargebacks at times, even when I was on the council, I was very critical of. And I think Ian absolutely 100% said that we are diverting resources to a facility that will need to be upgraded, that we should be really focused on our better equipped grammar schools and the high school. And we already have Branch Street, which is upgraded, which they're looking to do upgrades to. And then you have Ditson Place, which is I went to the Central School. It's beautiful. It's historical. It's downtown. The youth center, I think, has a really good program going. You got bond funding. You got state support. Okay, the community support. It's going to be working wonders in that neighborhood. But what my biggest concern is, again, what the chairman said, you have city buildings, city personnel in those that facility, and they're not paying us any reimbursement, and we're responsible for the upkeep. So if we have a massive situation, I really don't want to do at the end of the day keep on going to the well with the city council and asking for emergency capital provisions. I think collectively we realize the deficiencies in our school system for decades, but I think this is going to be a cost saving thing. We got to work on the logistics. I think the city domain would have better jurisdiction over it, and I don't think we should be in the business of overseeing nonprofits like this. And I think if they have more nonprofits that go into that building and they pay rent to the city, and you have a city solicitor that reviews contracts, I think that's going to be something that everybody should take advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to table it? Yes. Yes, second. Let's take the roll on it.
Member DeZoglio,
Yes.
excuse me, Vice Chair DeZoglio,
Whatever.
yes.
That's fine.
Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Saroyce is a yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
All right, there is criteria for state involvement support. Member Keegan?
So since the mayor's not here, because it was specifically, I've gotten some questions about some things he said at the city council meeting, and it being interpreted that he stated at the city council meeting that the schools were going into receivership. I wanted to give him an opportunity to explain that that's not what he said.
Yes.
But he's not here to do that, so let's table it until the next meeting when he is here.
I mean, there's no vote, so we don't have to table it. We can
Right,
just put it
so-
on the next agenda, but I can
Yeah.
echo your sentiment that the mayor did not say we're going into receivership. He did not say that. He said if we continue, the city council doesn't make moves, we could lead to overall city receivership, not schools. So, and that point wasn't to you, that was to the dot on the icing. All right, anything else on behalf of the committee and the good welfare of the community? Yes.
Yes. So I was in any other business, just wanted to echo my interest in looking at current practices for recess in district-wide. I think that there's a proponent of, school to school to school kind of practices based on those different space, environments, populations, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just wondering if we could take an approach to recess in terms of we have a new wellness policy that will have guidelines to recess and consequences and all that. So I just want to let the community know that concerns are taken seriously, and that my particular interest is seeing how we could be consistent across the district in terms of recess and procedures. Thank you.
Any comment on that? If not. Oh. Well, one second. Does anyone on the administration want to say anything? I just want to make sure.
No, I think that the Wellness Committee will also recommend procedures, I think, which will be important. And I think that across the district, just to clarify, for those listening who might not have context, the time of recess is the same across all grade levels and all schools. There are some differences in terms of the spaces in which certain grade levels have recess, and I think there's different components to that. So, I haven't heard many concerns about recess until recently, but we're happy to put together and put our heads together this summer and look at how we're doing that.
Thank you. Member Willett, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent an email to the acting superintendent. She was very expeditious in responding back to me. She added additional information. I think, like Member Baez indicated, and I support, I think we have to make sure we have a uniform application of playground rules, that we're not doing selective enforcement, that's commonsensical. So if kids are playing with, let's say, a basketball or a football where it shouldn't be at the location, or maybe have a Nerf football as opposed to a hard football to prevent injuries, or if someone brings in like a baseball, there's other like soft alternatives to baseballs and softballs, and wiffle bat or something like that. But just in terms of other kids are playing and you don't want to have something hit their faces and then the parents will complain. At the same time, too, I want to make sure it's uniformly applied and that parents know they can't bring in certain things. And it could be hard equipment. Like, if they want to do soft equipment, that's great, right? But I think as a committee, as an administration, I want to make sure we have uniformity, because I think sometimes principals
think they have a little fiefdom and that they dictate to the school district. It's the reverse. The school committee is the elected body working in partnership with the acting superintendent under the Education Reform Act. And we have powers to hire and fire administrators.
Member Willett, I just want to be mindful of the time. It is 10 o'clock.
Okay,
Almost.
so I just want to say for the record, I think we need to examine
I don't know whose policy
universal
that was.
application
Is it the school
of
committee's
playground
policy?
rules across our schools. Thank you.
I know. It's the school committee's policy. We can't go past 10, correct? Can we suspend our rules? We have an executive session.
The executive session could extend because the 10 o'clock is primarily for the students filming.
Got it. Understood. Anything else? We also have an end-of-year meeting, so we can add that to the agenda.
It's also because of the custodians have to lock the buildings at 10, and that's when their shift ends.
Luckily, we're with the boss.
There was discussion in the policy subcommittee also today about perhaps having a special meeting next week. And so if we're short on time, I could move.
I'm fine with moving, I'm not okay with moving executive session. That has to be, let's do executive session.
Got it.
So I'm gonna state for the record, we are going to go into executive session. So with no further business to discuss, I'd like to motion and get a second to adjourn the business session of the Methuen School Committee for June 11th and enter an executive session in pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, interim superintendent, assistant superintendent of student services, and assistant superintendent of teaching and learning. Again, we will not reconvene into open session at the end of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Member Soroy, second by Member Keegan. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair DeZoglio?
Yes.
Member Baez?
Yes.
Member Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Soroyce, yes. Member Willett?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Madam Superintendent, please send the link.
Yes, doing that now.